Hello, everybody. My name is Kojiku Toriyama the Monster, and welcome to my first major Smite patch review. We're going to be starting up in just a second. We're just waiting for the showcase to actually start. We did get a bit of a teaser the other day with the main gameplay, and today we're actually going to be reviewing the full-on patch notes that are going to be for not Season 10, Year 10 of Smite. If you like the video, please like the video. If you dislike, please dislike. And yeah, if you want to skip ahead to the patch notes, skip around, feel free to do so. I'm just going to be doing the live reaction. It is 3 o'clock now, so I'm guessing they have a full-on minute delay. I've heard some things, but I'm going to save my reactions to as they say them on stream. Alright. Last 20 seconds. You know what? Just because you did that, Twitch, just because you did that, we're going to unlock the follower goal, take that, and put that right down here.
Everybody, and welcome to an incredible update show. This is the kickoff of Smite's Year 10 update show 10.1, the Fire Giant update. I am Titan Dandy, and I'm joined here by two people that y'all should all recognize. We have Titan Ajax, Titan Clumsy. Welcome aboard.
Hey yo. Hey, what's going on, everyone?
We are incredibly excited to kick this off. I say this a lot, right? Y'all will hear me say we got a big update coming, and I've said that for a lot of updates, and they have been big. Comparatively speaking, this update's gigantic. You see, this isn't paper. A lot of times it would have killed me. It would have taken 100,000 trees, and we're better than that. So we're excited to get in to talk about all the incredible things we have. We have a battle
Let's
pass,
turn
a
him
new
up a
god,
little bit.
a crossover event. So many
Zoro
incredible
is
things
quiet.
happening that I think the best way to get into it is just to get into it.
Let's
So
just do
let's
full volume. Because I'm on full
kick off
volume on
by
my headset as
talking
well.
about something that's a little different now. This is Smite Year 10, not
Multiple seasons throughout, each with their own exciting changes.
yeah, I mean, there's just so much that we want to do to celebrate 10 years of Smite. That's
So
the big
it's
one,
gonna
right?
be like
Yeah.
We're here.
season, I think
Yeah,
it was
and so we
8,
think that this format is going to be great because
where they did
we are
4
going to
separate
aim to
seasons, I
provide
guess.
larger and more exciting meta shifting updates on kind of a quarterly rundown, you know? Obviously, like this is a huge change, and so
Smite,
we'll let
please
y'all know
get
more
your
about this as
your
we move through
Twitch,
the
please
year,
get
as
your
we
things
continue
together.
to make this into reality. But it's happening, and the season of monsters is the beginning of it, and I just couldn't be more excited about it.
Oh yeah.
So to
Alright,
start
I
us
should
off,
probably actually move the follower goal back up
we're
top.
gonna get into some changes that are actually happening now, and the first thing that we're talking about is a brand new conquest map.
Hell yeah,
Like
we're doing it.
we're doing it. Like
That's right.
it's a little out of rotation. We wanted to move it up because again, big 1-0,
Yeah.
and the map is incredible. I could sit here and talk about it all day, and we have enough. I mean,
Can
enough
I
content to
just
talk about it all
scoot
day. But
this up
just talking about it
just the
isn't
tiniest
that
bit?
enjoyable. Let's get in and see the map.
Come
As
on.
we talk
Alright.
about it. Yeah.
There we go.
Well, you're gonna get a theme from today. A lot of what is in this update is really honoring Smite and what is Smite. So we've got this brand new map that is Greco-Roman themed. We've got Olympus, the mountain of Olympus, facing off against the
I'm trying to fix it
beast's
for you
lair,
guys.
like a mythical beast's cavern on the chaos side. And we draw a lot of inspiration on this map from our older maps, so the season 2, 3, 4 map, or even the closed beta map. But what you'll see across this whole update and across the god
That'll have to
release
do
and
for
other
now.
things is that this really we're trying to really celebrate Smite and do things that are really fitting to the Smite game. So there's lots of call outs to old content, lots of old faces being brought back, A lot of exciting things across this map, and this map is just gorgeous, completely redone. What we're looking at over here is the solo side of the map, and oh, who's that?
Who is that? Yeah,
I
that's
wonder
new.
if he stays over
This is
there.
a living environment right there, and angry
Ooh.
environment, I
He's
think.
coming right for Oscar.
So
Oh, instead of the meteor, he actually
along
just
with
like
this new
crawls
map, we're
over.
also going to have a brand new fire giant character model.
That's true, because y'all have seen Surtur is coming to Smite, and we'll talk about that a little later. But with him leaving the Fire Giant pit, we needed somebody scary to come and replace him.
Ooh.
They found a good guy for the job.
Ooh, I like
So
that.
we've got the first big beat of this map is the new fire giant. Important thing to note is that this conquest map is going to be a living conquest map, as it has been in our previous years. With each season, we're going to see big updates to the conquest map. We're going to see meaningful changes to the map's layout. So that means we want to see new pathing, new jungle paths, new lane shapes each season. That's going to change. We're going to see map-wide environment art updates. So we're going to have new themes for the future seasons. We're going to have changes across the map to fit with those themes.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
we're also going to have new mechanics, new
Nice
objectives,
Dragon's
and
Soul. I
balance
like it.
changes for every season this year.
Yeah, which
They sound like they're
really
going
important
very
because
heavy on
with
the
4 season
balance
champions
changes,
for year 10, that
which
means
I like to
everybody
hear.
is going to get a breath of life for each of those new seasons 4 times this year, which is it's just mind blowing, honestly. So what an incredible thing. So I
I
mean,
know
Mr.
that they
Goldthumb,
have
what
the
else about this map is
enclosed
new? What are
spaces
some of the new things?
Well, before we get into any of the specifics,
for
you can
the
just see by
Chaos and
looking at the
Titan,
mini map that
Chaos and Order
True.
the
Titans.
geometry, the
I
pathing,
wonder if
very
they
different.
like
One of our
remove it,
goals
like they do the trees for like the global. Okay, Twitch. I'm trying to. Thanks, Twitch. Yeah, I wanted to watch an ad, definitely.
Bend with the wind. Almost there.
Gotta love ads.
360-degree combat encounter, as opposed to being backed up against the wall. That gives you a lot more strategic angles to defend and attack from.
I do
So
like
a
the
lot of changes
whole.
just in general, as well as you can see, the completely brand new art
And I
set
fix it now.
from the ground up, everything redone in a more serious, I'd say.
I do like the
More
change up with
realistic
the Fire Giant
tone,
pits and the
really
Gold Fjord
leaning into
pits.
that ancient mythology and having a
Because
more
instead of just having one big
architecture
wall
order side
to
as
back yourself, you have to fight from four
more
different
characters like
sides.
Olympus, kind of getting into the more wild
Plus, it also
Greek
balances the two sides. I like it.
which is kind of like the enemies of Olympus, led by Surtur and maybe some other characters we'll learn about later in the year.
Ooh.
Like you
Secrets.
mentioned, it's all kind of themed and tied together to that season of the monsters, right?
Yeah. So I mean, again, just an incredible amount of changes. Like, let me be clear, this is a completely new map. This isn't
Why is it lagging so much? Come on.
Conquest with a coat of paint. They have redone the map to make it brand new for year 10. So there are so many changes to talk about that. Again, let's just dive in. Where do you want to start?
Let's see. So Fire Giant was the first change. He's got a completely new character model, new position. His abilities are remaining the same. We wanted to make sure we made that clear. That's just a very strong formula for Smite. It works really well. It's something we're open to looking into the future, but he's got the same
Okay, I understand that from
stats that we're going to be using.
like a feeling standpoint.
There
You
are
don't want to
some
change it
balance
too much.
changes associated with him. An important thing to note is that his health scaling is increasing over time, so he can be tankier in the late game.
Yeah.
We've had some
Okay, that's
discussion about
good.
the recent map where he's a little too easy to take in the late game, and he's also going to now take less damage from critical strikes, which is a very important thing for hunter
Ooh.
balance.
Pretty strong there.
True.
That'll actually help
Those
get rid of
Alright,
the
so
meta
how
of
about
double hunters.
Yeah, we have a couple important mechanical
Yeah, okay.
changes to the pyromancer.
No, I guess we're lowering the quality even
There
lower.
is now no traditional mid harpies. They
I
for
don't
mid
want to
lane,
go
you
this low,
have
but
a smaller mid harpy camp on the Oracle side and a bigger mid harpy camp that's worth more golden experience on the pyromancer side. So you don't really want to just do that symmetrical clear anymore. You want to prioritize that pyromancer side if you can clear that over your opponent, or you want to contest them at both of them and win those contests.
Yeah.
One of the main goals of this map was to make there be more opportunities for gaining your advantage in the early game and make those through
they're like
unique objectives.
little
like that a
latency
lot.
mode.
Always good to have opportunities to get your team ahead, but based on merit of controlling a part of the map. You know, putting in that effort instead of just, oh, well, I have two more farms, so I'm going to slowly snowball up and up and up and up. So I love to see that kind of stuff.
And
So
one important note
please.
as well, because we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but
Yeah.
with all of these kind of new features showing up, one thing that was important were old features that were going to be taken away. Because now starting with a whole new conquest map,
Of course.
it's important that we don't just keep building on and on. We just keep adding features and mechanics that kind of just overbloated, make it really hard to digest for each player, old and new, what exactly is going on. So for this conquest map, we
Yeah.
are going to be removing several different objectives from the obelisks that we saw as a staple to this full year,
Yeah.
the Naga camps, the trebuchets, the enhanced buffs. But that doesn't mean we might not add anything back. Again, we
Oh,
will
they got rid of the enhanced buffs.
and build up from there. You're gonna see a whole bunch of new
Yeah, there's no scorpions on the map.
I was about to say, yeah, with all the seasonal changes. So good to know. Some things are definitely going away. The obelisks have been around for a while, but I'll be interested to see some new things rotate in, especially as we keep moving through the famous year 10. So I guess we just walked Biden lane a little bit. Let's talk about those things floating in front of the towers. What were those? Look like shields.
Yeah, this is a new mechanic that's going to be present in all 3 lanes on the tier 1 towers. These are tower bastions. So these are positioned in a place that even melee characters could take them, and ranged characters can take them relatively safely outside the tower radius.
Yeah.
And they are a different way for you to gain advantage in your lane. So if you're, a lot of times in Smite Conquest, if you had cleared your jungle and you'd push your wave, your opponent would just kind of like wait you out or stand there or run away. So this just gives you another thing you can do to gain that advantage in the lane. And if you destroy those bastions, you're going to significantly weaken the tower in that lane.
Okay, got it. So if they're,
So did they
it's early
buff?
on and you don't really have the damage or the pressure to get in under that tower, you still have something that you can work on if you are providing more pressure in the lane.
Right.
So did they
This will
buff
be
tier
a
1
buff that gives
towers
you
and then
a
it's
boost,
reduced to normal
providing the tower
stats
with additional
afterwards?
damage mitigation. So those towers are going to be much harder to kill until you kill the bastions. So you're going to want to kill those first.
Okay.
You also get a small gold reward when you do kill them. So
Correct.
it's not like you're just doing that to weaken towers. You're kind of incentivized to push that advantage. There you go. You get
50.
and you can utilize that. One for the 2 bastions, you're gonna get the 100 gold. They don't respawn or anything. So one-time bonus, weakening the towers, giving you a bonus, letting you kind of express your skill in that lane against your opponents.
And a very interesting thing about them is they can be hit by abilities, which was demonstrated here in the video. That is intended. So they're not so much towers themselves. They're more like totems or jungle camps, right?
Yeah.
So they can be hit by
Mhm.
all sources of damage. Gives you a lot more ways to attack them, even from range. Your jungler can rotate through and help you clear them, get a gold bonus for themselves and for you. Just some new lane dynamics.
I wonder if it's team wide or individual for that gold bonus, or just those who are nearby.
Yes, the totem has been changed as well. We're now just referring to it as the totem because it has been re-arted to match the map's art style.
Got it. Bye bye Ku.
The god, the Hawaiian god Ku, will be missed. So it's a very interesting ornate skeletal totem now.
Very spooky.
Has similar features as before. As you attack it, it takes damage and the meter goes up, and whoever reaches the top claims it first. But important thing to note is that while you are in the area, it grants you a buff that gives you increased damage dealt to everything around you. To anything you deal, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So while you're in the area, you get a buff that makes you deal more damage to everyone. So, what does that mean? A lot more high risk, high reward engagements between solo lane.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No longer can you just kind of ignore each other and take some splash damage while you're fighting that totem. You'll be able to really put the hurting on each other in that totem area.
If they're fighting it, you catch them from behind. You're really putting a wallop in. Like they're noticing that they are losing health and debating if it's worth staying for.
The totem, as you can see, has been relocated into the lane, so you can even leverage that damage boost to help you clear wave or box your opponent. You can even you could stand in the totem range and intentionally not clear the totem to kind of leverage the damage boost and box.
Does it still give the MP5 and movement speed though?
Add a lot more unique ways for skill expression in the early game for each.
God, this framing is not fun.
Objectives to worry about. Solo lane has this very different change to totem. And then another change that's here in the solo lane, it also is mirrored over to the duo lane, is a new concept of stacking buffs, is what we're calling them.
Okay.
So there's a new contestable stacking buff here that when you kill this, you can actually get this buff and it can stack with any other jungle buff. Sorry, I'm going a little off script here. It was just It was right here in front of me.
It's right. It made a lot
flowing.
of sense.
We're
Yeah.
flowing through the map.
We're
you know,
going through the flow.
it's a natural
Yeah.
flow. We're all right. But the important thing to note is like this isn't classic conquest or onslaught. You can't just stack every jungle buff in the game, but you can
Okay.
stack the stacking buffs.
Okay.
So traditional jungle buffs will still work as is. You can only have one of them. But the
Oh, it's got a
ability to
much
have
shorter
the one side
cooldown,
or the
though.
one on the solo lane or the
Or
jungle can
much
stack multiple
shorter
buffs
duration,
at the same
rather.
time.
And so what does the stacking buff do? Is it just extend the duration of your buff, or what's going on there?
It's got a completely new effect. The one on the solo lane side is a cooldown
Yep.
reduction
That's
buff.
the silver buff. So the base amount of cooldown reduction that actually scales with you per level. And obviously, there was a cooldown component on the previous blue buff. That's actually going to be shifted off onto the silver buff.
Right. So now solo
Really?
lanes
They're
are
nerfing
first
blue
and
buff.
through. They're gonna have to fight.
Interesting.
Although there is some other stuff going on later
Yeah,
we're gonna come back to. So if you're listening to this and you're upset about that cooldown reduction, you think it's just contestable, just give us a little bit, maybe a few hours, and we'll get to
Warrior fans will
Yeah,
be pleased. And there's also one here over on the duo lane. This one gives a shield when picked up and protections.
Got it. So kind of a good support pickup, maybe, to help you dive in frontline a little better.
Okay, it gives shield and protections. I thought it was just like a short shield.
Gold Fury, which we're now positioned at, no major changes to them.
Okay.
They've still got the rotation.
Now, I want to see the stats of it, but that looks like a decent sized shield right now.
Yeah.
I
We
don't
should
know
go
if it's
back to the
percentage health,
Pyromancer now
though.
that spawned. That was one we had to delay briefly for the flow of the map.
All right. So what's going on with the Pyromancer then?
All right, so the Pyromancer has a brand new reward for defeating it. Which,
Wave at him,
you
little
know,
guy.
to speak of,
Yay.
that's nice. It felt good, but we wanted to spice it up a little bit. There was a lot of discussion about how can we make this a little bit more different, a little bit more unique. And what we've got here now is the Runic Bomb, which can be picked up by anyone on the team who gets the last hit of
Oh,
the
it goes in your
Pyromancer.
consumable. I thought it was
So
going to
that's a
go in your
new
relic, like
ability
in
your
Odin's Onslaught.
consumable slot.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
Oh,
on the
that's
two slot.
crazy.
And it then gives you a ground target area effect detonating bomb that you can place, which does physical damage and applies a big knockup to God, or deals a significant amount of damage to structures and debuffs their attack speed. So you can use this as a way to push the siege.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you can use it.
It's definitely potent.
Right, it does a
Yeah.
big damage and then it slows the attack speed. So you can use this bomb. Even
I wonder how long that attack speed slow is.
break through those difficult Phoenix pushes. You can
It's not that long. I'd say about 10 seconds, actually.
One lane. Just a very new dynamic from the Pyromancer.
It seems like it. And correct me if I'm wrong too, but the towers and the Phoenixes have actually lost a little bit of health, haven't they?
Yeah, that's correct. Let's see. Where's my numbers here? So we did decrease the base max health of tier 1 towers and tier 2 towers and Phoenixes.
So
Really?
Right. Yeah, which I guess for the tier 1s especially, they
I mean, tier 1 is fine, but
so that makes sense, and it'll make sieging these a little easier. You can't turtle quite as hard.
Well, last season we did buff their damage output a
Yeah.
good bit. We wanted to make them threatening, but we don't want them to just be sitting there too long through very long engagements.
Got it.
Sieging has always been something that a lot of players can struggle with.
Yeah.
So as part of it's good tie-in to the Runic Bomb. We wanted to give more opportunities for ways to break through sieges and avoid stalemates.
Yeah.
The Enhanced Fire Giant being one of the most well-known ways to do that. That's going to still be on this map. But now the slightly decreased tower health, tower bastions mechanic, as well
Only
as
1600.
be additional ways to help you.
Isn't it like 2K right now?
I'm sorry. The map is just beautiful. I also saw
Or 1750?
So that sounds.
Was there one?
Yeah. No swimming, I
Oh,
guess. Not
Yeah, and those of you who remember the season 2 map might remember the beach. A lot of people wanted the beach to come back. We have
It
this
looks so
amazing
good.
It does.
statue
Crab!
like a Greek hero. Oh,
Crab!
we should have played the Capri skin for this part.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba.
But yeah, cool. So all right, let's wander back into the jungle. So what?
Return
are
to
the
Crab.
unleashed jungle camps?
Whew, this is a big one.
Yeah,
This is a big
massive.
one.
This is a big one,
All right,
Harrison.
we're diving in then.
Yeah, so what we've got here, we talked about the lanes and a lot of the objectives, but how about jungling? Or how about your gameplay moment to moment? How is that going to change in the new map? We wanted to
big.
find an interesting mechanical change that's going to affect everyone in every role.
Yeah.
What you can now do
Oh, look at that.
is you can pull jungle camps
Can you pull it to lane? Is the question.
Anywhere you.
Asterisk.
Anywhere?
There are a few disclaimers, yes.
Yeah.
Side effects may include. So they will de-aggro after a certain amount of time if you get too far away from them or don't attack them.
Yeah.
They can be re-aggroed. You can see the details on that in the patch notes.
Bye.
They also, you cannot pull enemy jungle camps. You can't run into the enemy side and pull
Drag
all
it
their
back
camps
home.
back to your side.
Okay.
So
Or
if
the
you
contestable ones as well.
right,
'cause
or
that
the
could be too
contestable
strong.
one. So only allied camps. Can
Okay.
you pull.
So only Only the default
Hold down the
and
location, you can use
your
that to go
XP.
camps up.
Okay.
You can use that to deliver buffs to your laners without them having to
Yeah.
go places.
Yeah.
It gives a lot of new.
Imagine if they did that
Roaming
with like
seamlessly,
Fire
it gives,
Giant or
gives
something.
junglers some really
You pull
interesting
Fire
ways to
Giant all
manage
the way
their
back to
clear.
your
So you
base.
could pull camps really effectively and clear them all together. It gives supports some new roles, and then they can go pull buffs and deliver them to lanes.
That's crazy.
And the jungler can also kind of do that as well.
I like that. I like that.
Curious to see
That's
how the
interesting.
start of the game is going to start fleshing out because there's so many different ways you can do this
Possibilities.
now.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the initial spawn order of operations is going to be listed in the patch notes, and the order of things is going to change, right? We've got different things in different places. We've got speed buff. We get to all these.
Now, when I was watching
The
the
start of the map
showcase of this
depends
map,
on one of
they
our
actually
decisions.
did
So
a
we can have
pathing
different players
of
have numbers that
mid
go
starts at red,
pulling
jungle at
buffs
speed,
together,
solo at
hurrying
blue,
together, and then
jungle
pull
and
to
mid
lane,
pulled to about here,
whatever order they find to be
and
most
killed
efficient.
that, and
So
then jungle met
really
up with
excited to see
blue
people
at
be
the
able to
XP
potentially
camp,
also
and they killed that
start to
together.
figure that
Which
path out.
seems like an efficient strat myself.
There's so much too. There's so much nuance in the roaming jungle.
Of
camps
course,
and the,
yeah.
Unleashed ones. But one of my favorite parts is like as a mid laner, I no longer have to like run to my red to the jungle trying to clear my red buff. They can't be like, hey, I cleared it. I'm sorry you didn't get here in time. They can now bring it towards me.
Yeah, or they can at least meet you halfway, you know?
I'll make some effort. You got to make some effort.
Which
Like
some
don't
junglers
tell me
still
you're-
won't. You know they won't.
Oh, no.
100%.
But
You know me as Bakasura. I'm just gonna like auto it once and then slowly back away with it.
yeah. And there's a couple other specific rules to make sure that things stay balanced. So lane minions and jungle camps, unleashed jungle camps will ignore each other. You can't pull those into lanes to kind of deny lanes or slow down lanes or help you clear towers or anything
Interesting.
like that. Towers will attack them though, so you could use that if your jungle clear is especially not so good. But you will get a gold penalty for doing that, just like if you had a last hit that you missed.
Also, we're seeing something.
Say,
right
what's
off
going
here,
on
'cause,
here?
Yeah,
Are you being
I got ahead of
pursued?
myself a little bit when I said roaming because this is the other feature that's there from the dead back harpy camp spawns. You can actually get roaming harpies that actually going to be moving around that camp to kind of give you a kind of a dynamic experience inside the jungle.
Now the real question is, can Bakasura eat those? Because if Bakasura can just drive by, eat
There's
it.
a harpy. I guess I'll just grab that while I'm here.
There's another one.
Right, so experimenting with roaming camps is something we're really excited about. This is kind of the initial.
I want to know how often those
and
spawn, though, is the
something we'll
question.
definitely play with as we go through the seasons in the future. Always something we've discussed. So these roaming harpies will spawn from the back harpy camp, and they will path around that camp in a scripted path. So you can predict where they're going to be. You can pay attention to the mini map. There as indicators on up to 3 of them can spawn, and the back harpy. So all of them can be spawned at once. You can actually sweep through and scoop up 6 harpies all at once if you plan it perfectly.
There's, like you said, so much nuance to this. And one thing I want to double back to a little bit is, aren't the buff timers for those the like unleashed jungle camps? Isn't there some new rules about what those buff timers look like?
Yeah, good point. Since you can move them into other locations now, we wanted to add some more forgiving elements there. So
super helpful.
yeah, now buff camp. I mean, the TLDR is that buff camps will stay on the ground longer than they did before.
Ooh.
Which everyone I know watching this show, everyone has been wonderful.
What are they buffing it?
Jungle buff.
Buffing it to
before
45
goes away.
seconds?
So now it's going to be longer. That's going to happen less. But the important thing to note is that
Oh, that's a
they
real
will
long
eventually
time.
relocate back to their spawn point if left there for too long.
Right.
So
So this is an unleashed red buff camp that's been killed far away from the camp, and it's going to stay there for a small period of time, and then afterwards it'll actually relocate back to the normal red camp spawn. So there.
Oh.
stay there for an even longer period of time. So it's a
And
very
does it
long time
refresh the
to build
timer?
buff up. You're generally not gonna miss it entirely.
Okay, I like
You
that.
might have to go back to the location or something like that, but you're not gonna miss it.
Yeah, that's super handy because, like you said, your jungler's like, hey, couldn't drag it out to you, dropped it in the area. You're like, cool, I'll go get it. You start an engage, you don't get back there right away. This really gives you that leniency to be like, all right, cool, engage is over. I'm gonna go step back and get my buff. Super cool.
Right.
Whew, all right. Well, I mean, we got to keep going. We've talked about roaming camps. We've talked about stacking buffs. How about Cyclops? And anything? Cool? I hear we got some Cyclops.
Another throwback.
Another throwback.
One of my favorites. I'm sure our jungler here has passed one or two of them. And someone probably saw them. People watching the show. So there are these treasure chests hidden in the jungle. Notice they don't have mini-map icons.
True.
But they do have a few set spawn locations, and they can spawn throughout the jungle. When you destroy one, you'll get a buffing area that gives you movement speed.
Huh.
So, and some gold.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm tempted to
Maybe
lower
I
the
should
quality
kill
even
more of
more,
those.
but
There might be a little
it's
surprise
kind of
waiting for
ridiculous.
you.
What good timing.
I know, right?
Perfect.
So on the third one that you destroy, a Cyclops rogue will ambush you, who's also going for the gold.
That's so
Will ambush you
cool.
and attack you out of the chest. And these are Cyclops characters that were, old characters that
Yeah.
used to be on the map a long time ago. We wanted to, like I said, we tried to find some ways to hide some old Easter eggs and some fun stuff from the early days of
Oh
Smite.
yeah,
So
I'm like
Cyclops
the
characters
drop in the frames is killing me. I'm going to
pop out of the chest and
36, but I'm not going to be
buff
happy
a little
about
bit
it.
more than the normal one, and you can reposition that buffing area
Yeah.
to be in a more convenient location.
Yeah.
So we're treasure hunting.
I was about to say, yeah, it's literally a treasure hunt because they're hidden around the map. So that's cool, though. You got a little.
Is it just random where they are? Like, do they not even know the spawn locations?
I was gonna say the one last spin.
Is there any spawn location, or is it just all over the map?
Conquest mode feature.
Okay, how am I lagging even when I'm on 360?
Now,
Okay,
the
we're
maps
going
are
back up to
smaller,
top quality
so
then.
they're going to be place them in what we thought were pretty, obvious locations. Locations you're really likely to path by during a normal jungle rotation.
Yeah.
And in the other maps that are smaller, more open, they'll be very obvious, right? So they're essentially just a new.
I think it's just the amount of people trying to watch it right
And
now.
in those other maps, it's also pretty interesting because that speed.
Because there are 10,000 people here.
Could be really valuable on those other maps because you have a lot more players in a lot closer area that can use it, right? So you can run into it more frequently. If you manage to, get it in arena, your whole team pretty much has that effect very often.
Yeah.
Whereas in Conquest, it's going to be used more by your support, your jungler who's rotating, maybe someone's trying to get back to base.
There's a gank, just
right.
all kinds of, yeah.
Exactly. So it's a little bit more specific in its application in Conquest, but in the other game modes, it can be a very big team-wide effect.
That's super cool. Well, as the treasure hunt continues, we've talked about mid harpies and back harpies, but what about some of the buffs? Just in general, what changes have come to the buffs across the map beyond just their timers and being able to drag them around?
I'll actually pull up
we do have a couple changes to buffs.
the patch notes
Purple buff is
as I'm
no
doing
longer
this.
going to be have the effect that makes you immune or hit into minions and stuff like that.
Minion aggro components.
Yeah, so it's no longer going to have that. It is still going to have a dot damage that it applies to you as its special ability effect.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
It is now going to be more focused on being a hunter buff as well. So we've changed it back to the purple buff from the void buff. The mini-map icon is now a sword instead of a shield. And the buff has now is going to have 10% attack speed and increased magical basic attack damage and physical basic attack damage. So it is really more.
Okay, so it's more
specific
focused towards
hunter
them.
buff. So similar visuals because it's still the purple buff, purple monster, and love, but it is a very different design, more designed for hunters.
Got it.
Especially with the green buff's existence nowadays.
Exactly. Oh, we've got a treasure chest.
Oh, let's
Will the
see.
Cyclops rogue be in this one?
This was the second one.
No, you have to take 3 on the same side.
Where are we right now? There. Okay, right.
There has been we've been invading a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
So
There we go. That's the second.
I can't see.
One
On this side. So it's based on the side. That's good to know, though.
And if you
Oh, so it's based on left and rights?
Symmetrically opposite on each team. So that way, there's not one you can actually kind of tell what the enemy's one is if you found yours, but also two, it doesn't feel like a kind of a disadvantage that one is like in a more favorable location versus the other.
Got it.
right, Order and Chaos always will have the same number of them in the same spots.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's continue down the buff path. So what about red buff? Is that any changes to red buff?
Red buff is gonna be
Gotta love
decreased
this.
health. That's
Just
important.
the
There's a
constant
lot of
stuttering.
balance changes,
Just
so
fun.
people will read in the patch notes. We're not going to go over every single one.
Ooh, that 600. I guess it is 30 minutes into
The
the game.
short explanation is that new map, different number of camps, and
stats
spaced
and
out in different places. So in general, we wanted to keep kind of the total golden experience pacing on this map feeling pretty similar to the way it was last year, but it's very different in its allocation across the map. So in order to balance that, there's small changes to the golden XP rewards of a lot of different jungle camps as well as the lane minions.
I'd just like these to be said that I'm watching this on my phone as well, and my phone has absolutely no frames whatsoever at 1080p.
We've also done some very key
So that's fun.
buffs and nerfs to specific, damage outputs and health. So like one of the ones that is important here is the buff holder of the red buff getting decreased health. Help make sure mages can clear it without taking too much damage from that a special ability, which also wait, did we already nerf that? We already nerfed that once, right? I don't think that's getting nerfed again. The Berserk ability when that red buff is at low health.
Yeah, that did hurt.
That's already been nerfed, but we're nerfing the total health of it a little bit more.
Got it. So with a lot of these buffs, like you said, if you want all the information, check the update notes. That'll have, because things have changed: health, experience, gold, the number of monsters in a camp. A lot of that's cool, but you can read that on the notes. I think another big notable change with the buff camps is actually the speed buff, right? That definitely had a change as to where it was split into 2 camps. There's 2 speed buffs now, right?
Damn, they're really complaining about the
Okay,
ads.
so why 2 speed buffs instead of just the 1?
Well, more speed.
More speed. Hadn't thought about that. I'm sorry I asked.
I think one of the also that absolutely it's definitely going to be important is more speed.
Yeah,
but
it's
also
more speed.
just putting on both sides of the map kind of now changes the onus for the assassin, the jungler to not always assassin, right? The jungler to kind of choose which route they want to take, right? They can prioritize the left one or the right one first, and then kind of stack up and go for their other speed buffer, and kind of change the buff time that you're going to get it. And it's not always going to be deterministic that the jungler is going to be focusing one side of the map always because that happens to be where their speed buff is.
Got it.
Now it's going to be a little bit more of a difference. It's going to be harder to read the enemy jungler, and you can now change your own play patterns to fit your own desires.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or even to match the role of the character.
Let's just
you're
put
playing.
it right there.
It could be like, well, I'm playing
That's fine.
somebody who's a little more. I'm playing an assassin, so I'd prefer to start on this side for an early gank and for easier clear of these camps. As to where if you're playing somebody a little tankier, more of a warrior, you'd start on the other side because that gives you the chance to interfere with the. It just I like that, a different ebb and flow, and kind of makes you unreadable, especially as we kick off through PTS in the beginning of the season as people are learning the routes.
So this buff is no longer going to have a crowd control function on it, but it is going to be. We have another chest. Let's see. There it is.
Yay!
Spawn the Cyclops thief.
This is definitely the coolest looking Cyclops, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Not the only reason why we designed the mechanic in this way, but yeah, that one's really cool. So now you've got this.
So there's multiple Cyclops?
Oh, okay.
And
so
that'll
you can
persist for
kinda-
a while, and you can go back and use it anytime.
That's really cool. You can drag them to the location. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, man, we have talked about so much with this map. Obviously, there's a lot of numbers. There are a lot of things that have changed. And
There is a lot of
scaling.
numbers on those
So many
notes.
numbers.
I'm
We
just
wanna
making
make sure
sure
we're providing
that
everything
Twitch doesn't get free
reasons and
advertisement
for,
here.
people to analyze fully, but yeah, we're not going to talk about all that right
Yeah,
now.
it would take us. This would be a 7-hour event. We'd have to have a break and popcorn and it's just a whole thing. So if you want to see all of that, make sure to check out those update notes
No
because
popcorn?
painstaking.
We go
Not
for some
here, it's in the
popcorn.
back. But painstaking detail. You will see everything. You can see how the lane minions are scaling now every 3 minutes or whatever. Like all the information is there. But before we leave this map, is there anything else that y'all would like to highlight or anything else that you'd want to say?
Let's see, a couple more small changes. Green buff has been changed in its location. It's very close to mid lane now.
Yep, it's also no longer going to be freezing your ally buffs that they have on them. So you can see that's kind of a theme for a lot of these different jungle camps. We've lost the AI like aggro component. We've lost the freezing component. We've lost the cooldown on blue, but that was shifted to silver, and we've got the green buffs.
A lot of give and take
A lot of give and take.
for various specific reasons. Also, we have the tree folk character holding the green buff now too, which is very appropriate and a very cool character.
Very cool.
Okay, I
We
didn't go with
also
the Dryads
have
holding it.
the blue buff, as we called out a little bit earlier when we were talking about the solo lane.
I think those are
Blue buff
Dryads.
is no longer going to give cooldown reduction, just mana.
Yeah.
So that's going to make that contestable.
Now, did they buff the amount of mana that they give, is the question.
Changes, and when we get to later in the patch, we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, it also has an aggro component so that when you do hit an enemy god, you also regen some of your mana. So it's kind of like a little spiced up a little bit.
Now, as y'all continue talking, one more thing I want to see as y'all put in the final notes is like, can we see the fountains? I'm sure the fountains changed in this. I want to see the 2 fountains.
Oh, the
Have we not
bases.
been to the bases?
I don't think we have.
The bases are a huge environmental change. I'm glad you called them out. They're
Look at that.
interior
Yeah,
spaces now.
You're in a building.
And they're high enough up that any
Interesting.
farm god is
It
not
looks
gonna get in the
beautiful.
way, which that's one of the reasons why we picked Ratatoskr as our guide to the map, because it's also very lore fitting and because he has some of the
I like
best
that,
air
yeah.
control, and we can really take our time and appreciate up there. But both bases have interior structures now. It feels so cool to
Oh,
enter into the
man.
enemy's
Oh.
base.
Ooh, is that Argus?
So
Look
much
at that. It's beautiful.
intricate
Crazy.
artistic detail. Yeah, the statues of Argus
Ooh.
called out.
I actually
Um,
didn't notice that until now. That's awesome.
Statues of our new
What
frog friend.
What?
Floggy!
For
Floggy!
holiday instantly, everything was like, wow.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know, right?
shout out to the DKO crew.
Oh, you know that at some point they're gonna have an update where you can fall into that.
Windows into the
Yeah,
floor,
like
glass
see-through
floors
floors.
that you can see through.
Environment team, absolutely killing it.
If they don't,
Out of the park. I mean, again, this is
if they don't
entirely new.
put
Yeah,
it
let's rush over
in a
to the
future
speaking of
update
other
where
stuff,
you
yeah,
can
intro
fall
real
through
quick.
that
This
on
is
either
just
side,
like,
that's a lost
So the base
opportunity,
gates
or
are
at least
reflected
take
to the
damage on that.
But
Like
yeah, and I like the
enemies
base
take
gates
damage on
as
that
well.
area.
The base gates obviously reflect the side of the map they're on. On that side, they're more built, they're established, they're regal, and on this side, they're a little more like big stone slabs
Oh,
that are
man.
just sliding
So
out
the
of the way.
interior of the chaos space is the mythical beast cave. As you can see that giant skull on the top, and then
Oh,
more
Yeah, like
skulls
I
and
bones.
love
bones
it.
in here.
I'm gonna
And
really
the
like
amber
playing Order side
fossilized
or
floor.
Oh
And
yeah.
Chaos
some
side. Sorry.
updates to the Chaos Titan here. He was very regal and proper in his Tiamat base, and he's gone a little bit more feral and
Oh,
dark
love it.
Oh yeah.
to match his new base.
And then yeah, the amber skull below the floor.
Oh baby, look
Oh,
at
man.
that.
Yeah, the bases. I'm glad we saved those for last.
Oh,
season.
that's
There's
like
so much
from
cool
Jurassic
stuff in this
Park,
map,
the
both
whole
the
Amber thing.
Soul Lane
Oh, that's so
exterior
cool.
space and Dual Lane exterior space. The lava fields and the beach are beautiful. The Order and Chaos space, though, probably my favorite part of the whole map. Like, gives you some
They
control
have to
when
be
you spawn
adding
into
like
your
some
base
sort of like
and leave
dragon
out into the jungle and out
shit,
into your life.
like proper
And it's just
bestial.
gorgeous.
And like you said at the very
Ooh,
beginning, kind of harkens
I like
back
those
to
new
like,
doors.
What, season 0, like the oldest
Closed
of the
beta
maps,
was the
closed
only
beta,
ones you could go
exactly, was the
inside. Yeah, it was
interior.
back in closed beta,
I
which
definitely got some of the nostalgia vibes when we first loaded.
a lot of people might have forgotten about too. But we had the classic conquest
Yeah,
event this year,
exactly.
so
Brought that
little
back.
reminder. But yeah, overall, just feels and looks really cool. We have new tower art, which you might have noticed. These are completely new models.
Man, just again, the amount of changes, it's a
Mm,
book. It's a phone book. You're really going to have to sit there and read through it. So,
I don't
obviously,
know how I feel
make sure
about
to
it.
queue in, especially in PTS. Queue in and just walk around the map, take it all in, soak in the sights, play Apollo and fly around the map as much as you can.
I don't hate it,
Super exciting
honestly.
stuff. Well, yeah, is there anything else before
New
we
towers
move
don't
to
look too
the
bad.
conquest
One
map?
really important
Oh, we
announcement.
got
There's a couple other
puppy.
small things about respawn timers and base doors. You can read about those in the
Here,
patch
give
notes.
me
And
1
the
second.
initial timer will be
I
lengthened
will
a little
pull
bit at
up
the time of
puppy
the
can.
beginning of the match, so people have time to prepare.
Hi.
around
Oh,
the
you want to
map.
come up here?
But
Okay.
an really
Come
important thing to note is that
here.
Hand of the Gods
Oh, yeah,
consumable
that's a big one.
is
Yeah.
going to be removed.
Yeah, I heard about that.
This was causing some contention at the pro level about being mandatory and forcing very linear strategies that required you to go certain places, certain times. It just really conflicted with a lot of our goals with unleashed camps and opening up the starts and creating a lot more
I do
flexibility
like that
and
working
more
statue.
expression. So that item's gone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And with Invader's Curse as well, we have like more mechanisms to make sure that you feel safer on your side of the map.
Okay.
Okay.
We could talk about
Yeah,
this
we
map
could talk
all
about
day
it
and
all
find
day.
more
Yeah.
We have so
interesting
many
details.
things.
There was some callbacks to old assets hidden across the map. There's a lot of mythological details and callbacks to our community and to the game throughout the map. So really, going to be excited to see people explore that on their own. But
Yeah, for those of you who have been here for the long ride, tweet at us, take screenshots and compare and show us all these secrets that you find, because it really is. This map is a testament to 10 years of an incredible game.
I just heard something
And
fall.
it's just the beginning of what we have to talk about.
So she's getting into
Super
something.
excited for it, but unfortunately, we gotta keep moving. There's so many things.
and we
to
have
talk
way more.
about.
We have way
What
more
is-
stuff to talk about, right?
Way
And a
more
lot of
stuff.
stuff that's really exciting. So I'm excited to get into this next section.
All right, cool. Well,
Coco, what are
how
you
about
getting
we move on to
into?
the next section then? We got some ranked stuff coming up. So what do we got in the world of ranked stuff?
Naughty
Well, we
puppy.
have one really
Naughty
big
baby
rank change.
girl.
Really big rank change. All right,
We have
what
more rank changes, but one that's really big, and that is that all ranked modes are going to be full crossplay in year 10.
I don't know how I feel
They're
about
also
that,
going to be hard
honestly.
reset, which is very important. I think a
The
lot
hard
of
reset,
feedback
good.
for
That's
crossplay
good.
came from
The
merging people of different skills, different
combines.
styles. But with a hard reset, everyone starts.
If you give us
at
the
same
option
point,
to
right? So from
specifically
day one
be
of 10 when it ranked,
separated,
you can have
like if we still
thousands of
have
players and PC players
ranked
playing together
crossplay
against each other,
versus
every team.
ranked
That's crazy.
And we'll see
console and
who
ranked
can rise to the
PC,
top.
All the way.
Maybe
I
some players who are used to being masters might have a harder time getting there in the new season. Maybe they will prove us wrong, and the console players shall reign supreme.
no.
Really, anything is
So
possible.
I
That's
started as a
super
console
exciting
player
to
and
see.
transferring
So
from
some
console
important
to
additional notes
PC.
that I don't want to undermine
You're in
how
a whole
big of
different
news this
league.
is, right?
Yeah,
We know it's very
please,
important.
Continue.
So we've got a lot of advocates on the Olympians squad.
As much as I want
influencers and the pro
console to
players
be
who are
good,
interested in
it's
this.
not
It
good.
really expands the overall matchmaking pool of ranked by a huge amount.
Yeah.
That's so important.
The console ranked scene is large, so that gives more players the opportunity to play with the best of the best if they can get their MMR up high enough to play with them.
Yeah.
It also gives a larger casual pool of players to make sure those matches are as close as possible.
Yeah.
And as they play, the MMR system will shake things out and move people to their appropriate places. So a lot of big effects that can have. And this is just I think something we've been wanting for a while.
Yeah.
We've been wanting it internally,
Uh,
but we wanted to make sure we did it the right way at the
I
right
feel
time.
like
And
console
this
people
seemed to
are
be the
going
way that we wanted.
to
I mean, year 10 is the big
complain
kickoff. It's so many
when
things.
they're
We're
going
just
up
going
against
for it.
PC people
We want
because
to show more than
it's a
anything that
good
we really
thing
appreciate
that
about the
console and
community we've
PC are
had
not
so
playing
far,
together.
and that it's only the beginning.
because
Really,
those
it
are
gets bigger and
two
bigger.
completely
So then
different
the
game
other change
modes.
is the God leaderboards. So
Yeah.
people have had a hard time acquiring those top level borders. And we've done some tinkering with the formula and the system and the numbers and things like that. And it was difficult to get that to balance out for all
All
the different
players who
mods
have
that
played
some will
at
get
least
tons of
10
points, some will get
ranked
much less
matches
points.
with single
Different
god, but
modes,
have
there was
not
a lot of
placed on the leaderboard.
variability there. So we've kind of
Mhm.
adjusted the system to be a lot more consistent. And that is just that based on your leaderboard position, that's what border you're going to get. So if you're
Okay.
the top 10 Thor player in the game, you're going to have a Masters border.
Got it.
No matter where your rank is at, no matter what your individual Thor MMR is, you're going to get that.
I
Masters
guess that
border.
means I
This
could
is
get a
gonna update
platinum ranking
dynamically.
border.
So if you're not playing that god for a while and people
Start
pass
playing
you,
fast,
You're
yeah.
gonna
you
lose
can get bumped down,
Got
right?
it.
So you have to be at the top for
Gotta
the
fight for
Masters,
it.
in that middle for the diamond, the bottom of the leaderboard for platinum, and every player who just meets the requirement gets that gold border. So even if you can't make it on the leaderboard, you can still earn that gold border, which you could show off in other. You could show off your console or your conquest ranked border in normal conquest.
Got it.
So you can say, I'm a ranked player.
Yeah,
big
I
deal,
flex.
like
I'm just here to practice and warm up.
Clumsy's genuine laugh at that, like little
Yeah,
cheeky
that was
impression
pure
I did,
joy.
whatever.
I really
That's just
don't
something for everyone to go out and
like
achieve.
the idea
Because we
of them
wanted to
being
have a skill
combined
expression
together.
part of it, we also wanted something that just everyone could go out and achieve.
Awesome. Good to hear it. Well, the only other thing in the ranked area is that there are obviously ranked quest rewards, and you can read all about those on the patch notes. But if you're playing and winning games, and they're there on the bottom of the screen, you'll be winning rewards. So play to win, earn some cool rewards along the way, have a good time with it.
Also, as we have been doing now, the ranked skin will be available immediately.
Yeah, right away. So
Nice.
if you hit the requirement for the ranked skin, which is the Berserker Rama skin, then you got it right away.
A little shout out to the season 2 ranked was.
At least the
Right, yeah.
the
So
choppiness
another
has
little
stopped.
nostalgia, Berserker
Yeah,
Rama
throwback.
for year 10.
What are we up to? Up to
All right,
10k here?
Let's move on into some normal game mode changes. How about it? So it looks like there's
Maybe it was
some
just
stuff,
full screen.
starting with the way the queue systems are working. It looks like.
Yeah, this is another big one.
That is a
So
big one.
we are changing normal queues back to be non-timed queues. Ranked
Okay.
queues will remain timed queues. So what that means is that these queues will no longer have a specific time for how long they're going to be.
The countdown
You're just
clock,
going to
got
queue
it.
them, and they're going to count up.
Got
And
it.
they'll pop whenever they're ready, and you will need to accept that queue pop. You won't be able to just decline for free.
Yeah.
Like you used to be in the current mode. A lot of people will be familiar with the system from
From
some
the past,
earlier years
yeah.
of Smite.
Okay.
The main advantages of this system, there's two. One is that multi-queue will get to return, which I know
Which
a
is
lot of
really
people are
nice.
excited about. So you can
Yeah.
queue for many modes at once and let the matchmaker sort it out where you want to go.
That's cool.
The other change that's really important about this is it gives us a lot more flexibility in what we can do with our matchmaking.
Yeah.
Time queues had a lot of advantages. I mean, they were nice because they're very consistent,
receive
but that
dessert.
also makes them very
Okay.
rigid. Time queues did not have a lot of flexibility for how we can match players together, how we want to do things. Time queues were when the queue pops, we make the best match we can.
Yep.
And if we make a bad match, we could say, well, we did our best. The time was up, and that's all we got. But with this type of matchmaking, we can really spend a lot more time, and we are going to spend a good bit of time this year making engineering level changes to that matchmaking system to continually update and experiment on this. So the important thing to note is that this is going to be ongoing. This is something we're going to be adjusting throughout the year. This is something that for the first week of 10.1 might be even different from week 2 or
Yeah.
10.2, etc. We want to test this, see how things go, and we're going to be very open with community, with their feedback. Maybe timed queues come back at some point, or in some maybe there's a better combination of way things to do that. But we really wanted in year 10 to actually be able to make more changes to how the matchmaking system works.
Yeah.
And in the very rigid timed queue system, we really can't do that. It's just a linear list of.
I want to go get a
gotta
snack,
at
but
the
at the
time.
same time,
No way to extend a little bit of time. Oh, we have 9 of 10 masters. Maybe we wait a little longer. Nope, time queues can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You
it's
either
done.
wait the whole thing or you go.
Yeah.
So we have a lot more flexibility with the system. I'm really excited to see what we can do.
Awesome. Just an incredible amount of changes, honestly. I mean, the map is huge, the ranked mode, the queues, so many things, and we're just at the beginning of the show. We still have so much to talk about. And I'm actually joined here now by a familiar face, Titan Clumsy, and another familiar face who just wasn't here a second ago, Titan Lermy. So welcome aboard. So,
Hey.
I mean, we have more stuff to talk about. Balance is not over yet, and we're gonna dive right into it, starting with some brand new additions to the item world, shard relics. So, take it away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
I've heard
I
about
would say
this.
there's so much going into this year.
There is.
I'm not gonna
Basically, it's like
discuss
a
what
mini
items.
stem
So much
is
more
an
going on
option instead of
right?
the
That's gonna be happening in
relic
Smite.
shard that you
One of
currently
the
have.
biggest new things coming up are, like you said, shard relics. So
Yeah.
It's
what
like a
are
mini
shard
relic,
relics? You may
basically.
have heard a similar term before, the vision shard, right? That's
Yeah.
the kind of free relic
start
shard that
with
you
it,
got at the beginning.
Forget to throw a ward.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
You kind of got that for safety. But now we're kind of expanding on that system. So we have what are called shard relics, and these are basically different alternatives to the vision shard. So there's going to be 4 new shard relics that you can now choose from at the start of the game. So 4 new ones still have vision shard. That's still going to be one of the 5th option.
Got it.
And
5
just like Vision Shard, you will now be able to have these from the beginning of the game and then upgrade them again at level 12.
Okay, that's
Exactly.
cool.
And all of these shards are based off of the Season of Monsters, of course,
Yeah.
which is what we're starting with.
Yeah.
So you'll notice a little bit of a theming here. That we've got some monster parts, things that you might go and collect if you've slain a giant beast or something of that
Yeah.
like. So they're really fun. I love using them a lot.
All of these shard relics, kind of almost other than Vision Shard, like we said, the monster theme,
Yeah.
they're also designed to have kind of mini relic power plays, right? They have
Okay.
very similar goal in the sense that they're kind of 3-second buff debuff duration,
Yeah.
and they have the same 120-second cooldowns. So we wanted to see what players can kind of do with one main relic that they can choose out, still just like normal,
Yeah,
and
of
then
course.
these little mini skill expression plays that you can do up to level 12.
Yeah.
And then we're obviously definitely intentionally designed them to be replaceable later on. In fact, you'll see that there's a lot of similarities between these shard relics and maybe some of the stronger relics later on.
Okay, cool. I mean, do you want to go through
Yeah,
them?
Let's
go
get
through it.
started.
Let's start off. Obviously, we know about Vision, so it's the same thing. But how about a Horn Shard? There's a new one.
Yep, so Horn Shard, this is going to be your non-ultimate ability cooldowns are going to be reduced
Got it.
every few ticks up to 3 seconds. So
That's
like that meditation idea that you had
Yeah.
on one of the upgrades from
what,
Fireblade, now you're kind of getting those
2.5 total seconds?
with the shard
Or
relic.
no, that's
That, super
2
cool.
seconds.
All right, so next up, let's
Because
go
that's
Claw
4
Shard. How about
ticks.
that?
Ooh, Claw's a really fun one. Claw
Because that's how they
has
usually
power
make
depending
it.
on whether
It's
it's
0,
so
1,
this also
2,
has a
3.
very, very small scaling component.
Which I don't think
We'll
is
see
good at
how to
all.
differentiate this one from a later shard that we're going to be talking about. But this one is really, really fun for if you have those big burst moments and you want to make them even burstier. This is the shard to get.
Yep.
This one I think is going to be the best one for damage dealers, or even sometimes solo laners.
Stay in lane.
Um,
More greedy play, right? You can go and use that. Also, just
This is just
kind of didn't mention,
great for
those being
sustain,
relics and items,
honestly.
they're going to be in all
Just
the games.
like
This is not just a
Yeah,
conquest thing.
exactly.
All game
New
modes.
gameplay for all the different game modes.
20% magical
All right,
lifesteal
going down.
is
Looks like we have
a
Wing
lot.
Shard in here.
Yeah, so Wing Shard, quite simple. Movement speed, attack speed.
Makes sense.
Kind of like the mini Heavenly in a way. So
Yeah.
you're probably going to be changing it later on. But yeah, it's just the movement speed, attack speed. A lot more attack speed than movement speed because we know how valuable that can be.
Cool, and it's looking like the last of the new ones is a Carapace Shard.
Yes, now
The
this
Wing
one
Shard
is
doesn't look
really,
that
really
big,
fun to
because
get.
it's
What
40%
you
attack
do
speed,
is
but
this
for
is,
3 seconds. That's not that long.
activate it, and then you have the next 3 seconds to attack an enemy with a basic attack. And whoever you hit, their protections get stolen away and given to you. So not only are you making someone weaker, but you're also getting stronger.
The
So,
Dive Shard.
I think this is going to be the
This
main
your
one
unique
for
kind of
supports
compared
and
to
solo
other ones,
laners.
other than Vision Shard, but it's also kind of got that Sunder gameplay a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
you're doing a little bit of an active component to get a buff for yourself.
Cool. Well, those are the brand new shards, which I'm really excited. Again, just another way for. We're seeing it so many times. I'm getting overloaded with information, right? Because we're seeing so many ways for players to get in and express themselves.
That's what
Express
it's about.
their
Oh, yeah.
play style. So I think that's really cool because, yeah, as somebody who plays a lot of Guardians, I'm going to be hopping in there like, all right, 120 seconds has passed or whatever. I can dive now.
Absolutely. And talking about the game modes thing, I think what's important there is that you can still get Vision Shard if you want to just be careful, ward your lane, stuff like
still
that.
wanna
But Vision Shard's also not that useful in the other game modes. Right?
Yeah,
If you're in
that's
Arena
true.
and you have Vision Shard, sure, you can
That's
use
true.
it
That's
to
very true.
one warded stat at the end of the game, right? But now with these other shard relics, you can make a little bit more interesting power plays.
exactly. And like you said, Vision Shard is still useful. If I know I'm playing against aggro in the jungle, well, I may still get Vision Shard.
The important thing is if you don't get Vision Shards in Conquest, buy wards. Just buy wards.
Yeah, just buy
Yeah,
wards.
Just buy
exactly.
wards. So
Just buy
all
wards
right,
for it.
next
Duh.
up, it looks like there are some items that are going away in this season.
Yeah, it's like let me get my water out because there's a whole bunch.
There's a
of
whole bunch
get,
of 'em.
Get your S ready in chat because
Yeah,
That's
because
ready.
it's been a long run. We've had a lot of new items and a lot of items, and with the
No
beginning
seven,
of the
boys.
season, some items are
No more hats.
in the curb. So
Okay.
No more
So,
magic
A
shields.
little bit of a preamble for this one.
all right,
Is the item store is changing quite heavily.
Oh, yeah.
quite heavily.
We've seen a lot of feedback. We're 10 years in. We've done a lot of things to the item store. This is going to be a pretty heavy shakeup.
Also, they're getting rid of the shuriken tree, by the way. It doesn't say it on here, but I'm looking at the Patchnotes right now.
Yeah,
Sure,
of course.
we've done some reworks and stuff in the past. Maybe we've even deleted a few items.
Which makes
If
sense.
we're going to just keep at it, if we want to keep going with Smite, these years keep going on, we're not going to just triple the item store. We understand how tough that can be for casual players as well,
Oh,
or
yeah.
even for invested players as we
For
keep
new
growing the
players.
passive text, as we tend to do. But,
That
you know,
makes
we'll
sense.
get
Try to
that
keep it
reworked as well.
simple for the people,
So one important thing
for
is
the
we
newcomers coming in.
reduce the kind of the item store bloat. What
Yeah.
what we kind of can call, and we're going to choose opportune places with for many different reasons that we chose these items. But
I will say that most of the
you might
items,
see them on other items, you might see them come back again.
Yeah.
It's not to say they're going to be permanently removed forever, but we wanted to start with a new base.
just about
So
none of
talk
them
about
were
the
ever
conquest
built.
map.
Yeah.
We're starting with a new foundation. We're doing
But
Gotta refresh. Call it spring cleaning.
Lotus Crown was occasionally
With
built by
so many new things,
healers
we figured
until it got
put some
nerfed into the
stuff
ground
out,
because
but
of
I know we
Yamaja.
say it like every single show, and we mean it every single show. We're listening to y'all, so we're gonna make these changes. We're proud of them. We think they're gonna be awesome. You might not agree with all of them. Tell us the ones you love.
The Celestial
Target.
Legion
Tell us the ones you
Helm,
don't love or that you
I can
miss,
agree
'cause
with.
y'all's feedback is what
Jade
ultimately
Amp I
drives us
did
into making
like.
these game
I
changes.
did like as a concept,
Great
but it wasn't
changes,
statted
the word
properly.
change is getting garbled. So
Yeah.
let's get into the items being removed. Let's start it off. What are we
Okay,
losing?
so there are two entire item trees that are being removed: the Imperial Helmet tree and the Enchanted Buckler tree.
Got it.
We can get into that a little bit as well on the patch notes as well. If you read alongside, we wanted to really reinforce tree identity, so we've relisted kind of the goals for each of the trees. But specifically talking about the removed items, I mean, we can go through each of these. We're talking about the Imperial Helmet tree, so Celestial Legion Helm.
Got it.
Unfortunately, that's going to be
Oh.
removed.
Bye-bye.
Jade Emperor's Crown, again, going along the entire tree, and Tyrannical Plate Helm, although you're going to see a little bit of a callback to that one again. I'm not sure Celestial Legion Helm or Jade Emperor's Crown if we have any favorites here, but some people...
Jade
Maybe a
Amp
little
was the
bit
best one
biased.
out of
Jade
them,
Emperor
I
can't
think.
build his crown anymore.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
true,
that's
that's
true.
true.
We might need to address that, yeah.
Man, we're just missing hats now. All right.
Shifter Shields, that's one that we always kind of toe the line on, what's strong and what's not. That one's going to be removed.
Yeah.
Void Shield. Runic Shield also, that's going to be gone. We're going to see different ways of kind of enhancing
Damn.
magical protections and kind
Got
of
it.
combating those
Damn,
attacks. So
they got rid
some
of
these new
Voidstone
ways are
too. They
gonna be
didn't
combat.
even like rebalance it. They just got rid of it.
Anchile, Ansile,
One of those.
Ring of
Anchile,
Hecate.
That's fine.
and Annihilated, but it's one of those 3 or 4 or 5.
Ring of Hecate. Hold on.
Voidstone, similar kind of vein as Void Shield.
Got
Some
it.
of these, we chose some of these items that'll have a little bit passive effects that have kind of
What the?
really worked out for us. Some hybrid items, and we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm with the chat. Why Ring of Hecate?
Stone
I understand
Front,
Voidstone
kind of
getting
concept of
removed
Voidstone.
because they're getting
That
rid
we're
of
gonna shift
bruiser
gears a
items,
little bit.
but
Ring of Hecate. That's gonna be. I know it's kind of one of the more newer ones you could say, but with whether it's Bancroft or the Glyph, we've kind of seen that one not as valued as it used to be, and we're gonna. see some
Bulwark
some
lost its hope.
Got it.
Book of the
No.
Dead. That one's actually.
I don't
Stone
agree with the
Cutting Sword.
Bulwark
I
one.
think
I
it's
don't
just
agree
one
with the
that's a little
Bulwark
bit,
one.
If I know some people.
Blackhorn,
it's effects,
Blackthorn, fine.
honestly,
Sledge, fine.
you're
Stone
gonna
cutting,
get
fine.
penetration
Book of the
bonus,
Dead,
you can get
damn.
options
That
also.
that passive better go
Or,
somewhere
again,
else then.
allows us to reintroduce or add new items to flesh out the stores.
This is getting really political here.
Yeah.
Blackthorn Hammer, so we're talking about the hybrid items again.
Yeah.
The Sledge, now that one was a tough one because we
That's a
still
shame.
love the idea of the Sledge.
Why
Right?
by the sledge?
I know we're gonna, F's in chat for the Sledge, but
True.
Bulwark of Hope is gonna be removed. Hide of the
I
Urchin.
don't get why.
This one's interesting as well because Hide of
Yeah.
the Urchin was one of the best items in the game, but it's also one that people just didn't want to buy, and it was extremely
Yeah.
variant based on obviously kills and assists.
Okay.
Very
I don't get why they're removing Bulwark
Yeah.
of Hope
If
instead of
playing
buffing
an
it.
arena and you're some sort of tankier character and you didn't grow this, you're objectively making the wrong decision, but it's not really the most
Yeah.
fun one to
Yeah.
do.
They're getting rid of Witchblade. They're getting rid of Hide of the Nemean Lion. What?
Hide of the Nemean Lion in the 10th iteration of it also being removed. Ikeval, another fun item, but you're going to see some non.
What are you doing, Smite?
So don't be
Yeah.
too sad about that. Shadow
You
Social,
better give me hard counters to hunters.
notions
You
of
better
damage.
give me some block
And
stacks.
also
You
alongside of
better
this,
give me
that's the
some
last of the major
disarm.
items.
Yeah.
Alongside alongside those, there's going to be many tier 2 items that have been removed that are, kind of connected to these tier 3 that weren't relevant anymore.
And
Yeah.
that may all sound very scary. Like, that's like half the items.
That's a lot of
store,
items.
right?
That's a lot of
We were
items.
joking about it. That's a lot.
like 20 plus tier 2s and 1s.
But again,
Like,
remember, we have some
that's-
more stuff to talk about here. In that new items are coming, changes to old
Reworked
items are
items,
coming
yeah.
as well. So, it's not gonna feel so empty. Don't worry, we got you.
Yeah, I think we're kind of getting right into it.
Oh,
so
man.
it's gonna be the first category, because we kind of broke this down into categories.
Yeah.
Hybrid items. We talked
Hybrid
about that a
items.
little bit. We talked about the shields. We talked about the hammers. We talked about the stones and the crowns a little bit. One big goal that's going to be going into this, year 10 season.
Yeah, the
season
big
1
1-0.
is the idea of these hybrid items. Hybrid items have historically always kind of been problem points.
Yeah.
Whether they're the tier 2 versions from before or the current tier 3s, where they have a mix between power, offensive stats, and defensive stats. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what makes them hybrid items. And
Mm-hmm.
they were either priced or statted accordingly to really purchase them kind of early on into the games. But that also made them really, really tough to balance, honestly, because that's what this is all about. You tend to see this in the solo lane if you're going to be talking about Conquest or for Warriors and Guardians. But with that design space, we found it to be very difficult to find when they're going to be healthy, when they're not going to be healthy. And I think a lot of you guys in chat and home playing Smite, you know which kinds of items we're talking about. They were always really tough, whether it's the Glad Shields, whether it's the stones against the crowns. So now we're going to be having to choose. Now you're going to have to be choosing between power on these hybrid items, because they're no longer any hybrid items. You can just say they're basically removed. It's going to be defensive or offensive options. You're no longer going to have power and protections on the same
one
item
thing.
anymore.
Got
That's just not happening.
That's huge.
So with that in mind,
Let's
we've got
get into. We have so many changes. Yeah, let's
the
start talking about
stone
individual
rework.
cases.
So you want to go into this one, Larry? We'll talk about the stones.
Yeah, let's start this. Actually, let's go a little bit more overarching here for a second. So because power is not sharing protections anymore.
Yeah, there's an interesting note here too.
A lot of switch ups that can happen. So if you're thinking the shields, the stones, they can be bought by any class.
Right.
Any class, physical or magical. So you could have Glad Shield Guardians. You could have
Which I called
items
for
on your
a
warriors. They
little
could
while
be any
now.
of them. So that's the first very important thing that we should talk about here is that your build potential is opened much wider
Yeah, a lot of
for those of
diversity.
you in the solo lane and the support role.
Yep, absolutely. So the first one of these being
Nike better be
Binding.
getting some love in our passive.
We talked about
Just saying.
the different hybrid items. We talked about this one specifically was the last tier 2. Again, another design space that
Stone of Binding,
I know
yeah.
people almost ask for tier 2s to come back. It's
Yeah.
not an easy place to go, especially like we talked about for hybrid items. You have to price them accordingly if they're either hyper efficient or just not bought at all. So Stone of Binding is going to be brought into a tier 3. It's going to be building off of Sage's Stone. And Druid Stone and Sage's Stone are going to be getting a little bit of a rework to their stats. And yeah, so for Stone of Binding, it's not going to be getting a different passive. It's effectively still the same thing. It's just going to be scaling with your per level.
Got it. And
Just a little bump.
yeah, as we continue, I'm going to be the broken record here and say there are a lot of numbers with this new season.
Yeah.
I know that the update notes are terrifying because you could like unlock your mouse's scroll wheel, flick it down, and then go make a pizza before it would finish getting to the bottom. But like, if you want the numbers, they are all there. You can follow along with us and get the numbers because they'll be on the bottom of the screen as best they can. But we're not going to talk about every single number because we don't want we wouldn't want to be here till we're 50. So just going to be the broken record there for a second. But yeah, let's keep moving on. We got some.
I mean, Stone of Binding scaling. You could probably add some more scaling to that, like number 5 or 2.
Place to start would be which one do you want to start with?
So Gladiator Shield. I think we're going we're skipping a little bit, but Gladiator Shield's the one that's really
Okay.
HP 5 on the shield tree.
That's fair.
Okay.
Tier 1s and 2s as well, but we're going to get the tier.
That's definitely good
the
for
important thing to
sustain.
is Gladiator Shield. So this is basically the same. It's getting
50 protections, 150 health, 25 HP 5.
Of Smite characters being able to purchase Glad Shield.
Yeah.
So one thing that we have added to this is the ability to any consecutive hits that you do with this are going to have decreased damage. So your characters like your King Arthurs, your spammy characters like the first.
Okay, so they gave it
when I think
the
about Glad Shield
Heartseeker
Guardians,
soul reroll treatment.
you will be able to do a lot of spamming here, but again, remember every consecutive hit that you're doing with this is going down quite a bit.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. And so
How much is
that's
quite a
the
bit?
Introduction. You may have seen that before with Soul Reaver. You also will be seeing this added to several other items.
It does half.
Crusher in the blue stone
Okay.
tree.
It does half
It's the
for the
same
next
kind
3
of idea.
seconds.
What we're doing with Glad Shield, it's just been hyper efficient for some of the characters with multiple abilities, and it was kind of a little bit unfair. But going back a step now, I kind of threw you guys for a loop. We did that one first. I apologize, that's on me. But we have obviously the round shield and the tower shield are going to be reworked.
I'm liking this one.
Berserker shield being the other
Yeah.
shield here.
Yeah.
That's going to be getting a small. Shield.
There we go, baby.
Here is it's no longer going to be class restricted.
Yeah.
Because I think hunters as well were
Not
restricted
able to
away
buy
from
this,
that one.
Yeah. But
And now, with the big thing here. Is
Oh, yeah, baby.
We did get a little bit of a change. Glad shield, that one's probably more important.
You know what this means?
Shield, but the fact that they
Auto
really
attack
have
guardians are
power,
gonna be in.
That's what's really going to be important here.
Yeah.
Because if you're buying Glad Shield or Berserker Shield for its power,
They're
and
not
its
in, but like
in
they can
current
buy it
season,
now.
now you have to make a really big
Berserker
choice.
Ymir,
Do you
yeah.
choose between the passive and the protections and the utility stats it can give you, or an actual power item.
Yeah.
So
Because this can give 45% attack speed. That's huge.
If you want to build hybrid, if you want to be both damaging, offensive and defensive in your stats,
Yeah.
you now need to get a defensive item, which this is classified as now,
Yeah,
and
an
an offensive item.
Exactly.
Which I like seeing before in some of the games where there's in the SPL, we started seeing some chalks with Transcendence, right? That's
Yeah.
the kind of gameplay that we're talking about.
Okay.
Is you get an offensive item, and it doesn't have to be Transcendence, but it can be whatever you may
Yeah,
want,
whatever
and
you
you
feels
get the
best.
defensive items to kind of round out
Exactly.
your stats.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that's the important stuff there with the shields. Going into the next category of items, same category, another tree,
Yeah, another tree.
which is the hammers.
Ooh boy, I love the hammers so
Yeah,
much.
This is
specifically this one.
Yes.
interesting.
The Hammer
Okay.
is getting a little bit of a change because it does have to do with that hybrid playstyle. So this one will
I
actually have
like
power,
the
but again,
stats.
to kind of go back to our point, items can have power and health, just not power and prots. Those two things
Got it.
gotta be staying separate here.
Exactly.
So this has power and health, and then MP5 and HP5, of course, and you'll see that kind of theme throughout the hammer.
It's kind of like a rune
But
forge.
we've also made a nice change to the passive
This one's
here.
passive. It's a little bit
Yes,
different than the
a
other
little
one.
bit different.
Just a smidge.
So how this works now is instead of getting that slow effect on every single auto that you're doing, you're going to get a bigger slow effect, and it also will happen in an AoE.
Yeah.
But it's got an internal cooldown, so it can't happen too often, but when it does happen, then you've got the opportunity to go crazy with it.
Yep, so we're looking at the hybrid items. We wanted to make those stat shifts, and we
I
said,
don't know how I
Frostbound
feel
is
about
kind
that.
of one that's not been as fun. You might see another
Yeah.
item come in a little bit later on. Took this opportunity, and similar, we're here with Runeforge, the other hammer. Again, it's got the power, no protection.
I think
got a
that's
little bit of
taking
health,
it
which
away
is
from
fine.
basic attack gods
This
and giving
passive
it more
effect is gonna be
towards
different.
like
So something
ability
like
gods
CC
who can
effects,
weave
it
in
kind
their
of was
auto
before,
attacks.
But now it's actually going to be creating a field on hard CC that
Yeah.
increases the damage enemies inside that field take
Yes.
from anyone on your team.
This effect is so much
That's
fun
crazy.
too on characters like Tyr, on people that can really hold you still in this Runeforge proc. You're gonna be having a lot of fun because that's really the whole goal with this item. Is you want to
Next successful hard CC on enemy god creates a runic symbol on the ground that lasts for 5 seconds. 10% more damage is not horrible.
And to revisit the goals again from the beginning,
It's basically 15 seconds off
That are a
cooldown.
little bit more passive, a little bit more boring, you could say, and to create these new, more active gameplay moments. That's the
Yep.
goal for a lot of these reworked items and for new passives coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you see the effects on the ground and things like that. You'll have that clear go button of, okay, I see the actual visual that this has happened. Now I know that we should fight right now.
Yeah, there's a circle, and we're fighting that circle.
Fight in the
so.
circle.
You'll notice we winced when the word boring came out. It's because as game designers, that word scares us because you just don't want your stuff to be boring. So if
Well,
you say
it's
that word
either boring or too complicated, right? So-
yeah, right. So like we want everything to be fun, but it's just funny, it's like a thing you don't even think about. You're like, if it's boring. So anyway, all right. So there's one
Right,
more
the-
item
the
here for
final
the
one,
hybrids.
This is more of a shift. So
Yeah.
with the tree changes from before, Katakea's shield didn't have a home. It's
Yeah.
now
The
gonna drop
douchiest.
into the hammer tree. So it is now going to be
Ooh.
Katakea's club.
It's a club.
You
look
use it
at
to bonk. Yeah.
The stats are going to be shifted.
30
but
physical
passes
power, 250
Cool, so
health,
yeah, it's just
20
a tree
MP5 is
build.
not bad.
That does it for hybrid, but now we're into a kind of a hot ticket era.
I assume still
Some
20%
Oh,
healing.
here we go.
Some
Ooh.
anti-heal, some no healthy.
This
Yep,
is
still 20%.
Second category of items, the anti-heal items.
Yeah.
There's been multiple ways of addressing these, and I'm not going to have a massive preamble on every single one of them. Basically, we
Yeah.
want them to be more fun. How about that?
How about
We
that?
want them to be
More
more
fun.
fun. Anti-heal, it feels more like a stat. And now each one of these anti-heal items is going to be getting an actual passive. With
Okay.
that in mind, because you were basically adding power and we're not doing like massive rework shifts like we were for the other items,
Yeah.
they're likely going to be either getting stat shifts or nerfs in other ways to make up for the fact that they're going to just be getting a new gameplay effect. So
Exactly.
mostly
Got
it's
it.
increased costs to make them more in line. So the first one, Divine Ruin. So again, a little bit of a cost increase and a whole new passive. The passive is your next successful damage ability actually triggers a chain lightning effect with an internal cooldown. So kind of like a magical Odysseus bow effects.
Yeah,
with
next
internal
bow
cooldown, so you
ability.
have to play around
You gotta
that.
wait
And
for
the
it.
It's
best part
targeting
about
up
this
to
is
4.
that lightning applies Divine Ruin.
Yeah.
So for those
Ooh.
characters who had a bit of a tougher time applying it, thinking like your Noxes or your Scyllas, if you hit one person and they're close to other people, they are also getting Divine Ruined.
And that's an enemy, not
So
enemy
it's a
god.
pretty interesting passive because it helps the AoE mages who are already doing well with the AoE kind of spread that around, or it helps
It's
the mages
like-
that don't have good AoE kind of
AoE,
actually
yeah.
splash into
It's
it
like
and
a
cleave damage.
weird
Nice.
oboe for
So
magicals.
it looks like
I kind of
next
like
up
it.
We have Brawler's Beat Stick as well.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's fun too.
Ooh.
So Brawler's Speed Stick is now getting an additional passive, like we said. And so how this works is if you are near an enemy, so you participate in the killer assist when when they die, they leave behind this glowing red field where if you're inside it, you get increased power.
That's just cool.
Yeah. So again, stand in the circle.
I-
Stand in
In
the circle.
Yeah.
The circles are good.
I don't think that's gonna be good.
Honestly,
Honestly.
not your red circle, maybe not so much. A lot of fighting in circles is gonna happen, so it's kind of like a direct circle
That's
idea
definitely
for
not
area.
worth
So,
going
cool.
2600
So let's keep
for.
going. Toxic Blade getting some changes as well.
Toxic Blade, historically an item that's honestly pretty decent, just with an effect that was kind of hit or miss. The anti-heal is good, but you can get anti-heal in other ways. But now it's getting something else with it too, right? So its cost is going to increase, its stats are going to be decreased quite a bit, especially with the attack speed. But that's because we were talking about items that were removed. This one's kind of getting that Igvel passive back.
Ooh.
It's not quite the same, but your enemies hit will still have the basic attack healing reduction, or so basic attacks will still provide the healing reduction as normal.
So
But
that's
also gonna
up
be
to 60%
reducing their attack speed,
anti-heal.
it for yourself.
Exactly.
You
a little bit
get
of homage to
Yeah,
it.
a little
one.
stealage. So
Yeah.
cool. Pestilence next on the docket.
Now this one is going to be a little bit different from the others in that it doesn't have really that much of a flashy effect, right? This is
Okay.
more so your one-stop shop.
It's
for
interesting,
anti-heal.
but
And
not
one really important
balanced
thing to talk
properly.
about is that Pestilence and Contagion have kind of been interchangeable for a long time, right?
Yep.
Got it.
So we're trying to give these two items a bit of unique identity for themselves, and that's particularly what Pestilence is going to be good at, is if you need a lot of anti-heal, you're playing as 2, 3, 4, their whole team has healers and meds, this is the item that you want to go for, because it now applies even more anti-heal. When you get hit, you are applying additional anti-heal to the people that hit you.
Yep, and while it's not the most flashy gameplay gimmick, it also kind of requires you to.
So
use
Pestilence can get
or
up
it's got a
to,
gameplay
by
purpose
itself,
of
55%
it's when you get hit,
anti-heal.
They're getting more anti, so you want to kind of position yourself in ways where you're actually.
That's
causing them to hit
interesting.
you more. Or
Exactly.
if they're choosing to hit you, they're getting it.
So it's up to 30%
in their face and they're hitting
for
you just
3
because you're the first
seconds
thing in
with
front of them
the
that they're
damaging
suffering from. It's a
passive
positioning game.
Yeah.
on
So,
Pestilence,
cool. Well,
plus the
I think that's the
25%.
last one on the anti-heal docket.
Yeah,
We've got some Contagion
We
too.
talked about Contagion, but
A
we
little
also have
Oh,
it
that's
has a new
true.
passive as well.
That's true, it does.
Like
I'm
Lemmy
sorry, I
mentioned,
jumped the
though,
gun.
they are still going to have that shared aura effect. So if you do buy both,
Aura
the
effect.
auras are not going to be stacking.
Exactly.
That's
Of
staying the same.
Contagion seems like a
But the new
conditional
passive
mystical
for
mail,
Contagion
which
is
I
gonna be
don't
you're
hate.
hit by hard crowd control, so now you're on the receiving end, unlike
Yeah.
Runeforge where you're dealing hard crowd control. The enemy will actually receive like a ticking aura that's going to be hitting their allies. So you get hit by hard crowd control, they receive a debuff that's going to be hurting their own allies, kind of like they're the source of your mystical mail almost.
Yeah.
They've
You're
got
not
the
going to heal when I'm
Contagion.
around.
got
They have the
Exactly.
contagion. Okay. I'm glad I didn't jump over that then. That's cool. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
They start to poke you, and you're like, but are you really? You're poking yourself. So, all right. So remember what I said a second ago? Yeah, now we're there. So we still have more reworked items, though, more things that are changing.
Yeah.
So moving into some of those, what's happening with Winged Blade? It's getting some changes.
Ooh, this one is really, really fun. So as you'll see, we have a lot of new
I like
effects
fun.
coming to the various reworked items.
Yeah.
But Wingblade is one of those that in this particular tree, anti-slow is still very strong. However, with a lot of these items getting stronger slows, we wanted to be sure that the counter option was really good as well. So
Oh,
what we'll do
and
now is
nearby
we'll do a
allies.
shot and an AoE,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
when you
yell
get
like that.
slow. So
I didn't
you
realize I was
anyone
trying
with
to
an AoE
read it and see what was
slows
different.
and get sped up.
Easy
Same effect,
peasy.
just
a little
in
bit more of a
bigger area.
team use case there.
Yeah,
So
nice.
yeah, this is a new category of like it's not the anti-heal.
Yeah,
it's,
we're out of
it's not the
anti-heal
hybrid
now.
items.
No
It's just
anti-heal.
fun new reworks for effects that might have been a little bit too linear before.
Yeah, things that we're trying to bring some life into. Moving next on to Gem of Isolation.
Another one of your favorite items.
Oh,
though.
yes.
Go
I
ahead.
love
What's
this
this
one.
Mm.
So this is very similar to Frostbound Hammer in that this is no longer the constant apply,
Mhm.
but it is
Mm.
the stronger application, but with an internal cooldown of it doesn't
Got
happen
it.
all the time, but when it does, it's pretty good.
Yeah, when you get it off,
And-
for it. So Cool.
I don't know.
So how about spectral armor? What's going on there?
Yeah, so spectral armor, it's kind of like the anti-heal items. but
Yeah,
it's
I'm
a-
agreeing
it's
with
a,
Yeah.
Chad. I don't like it.
counteracting effect for something that they're doing, right? So instead, you're still going to be getting the reduced bonus damage from physical crits, but
Yeah.
now when you're hit by a crit, you and your allies will actually take even less bonus damage from further critical strikes, and that effect
Okay.
will stack.
Thank you.
Another cool
Thank
fun
you.
change.
It also
Thank
helps
you.
mitigate having to purchase multiple spectral armors for one team.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
provide at least a mini version of that effect for allies that are nearby.
Yeah.
So if you're positioning right in the team
Fuck
fight with the
crit.
spectral armor,
Absolutely
everybody's
fuck.
getting that anti-crit effect. So you really gotta watch where you're standing. But it's a really fun balance to play as a tank character where you want to stay near your allies, but you don't want to stand too near that they're getting hit. But you also have to stand close enough to the enemies where they're hitting
Yeah.
you and they're critting you. It's really fun. to
Yeah,
play
it's not
positioning
fun
tank
And
and-
don't forget
when
the
I'm
circles.
full
So there's
defense.
So, yeah,
They have
circles,
no
allies,
pen,
so
and they can
lots
knock
of
me
So far,
down
the
to
year of
10% health
understanding.
with 8 autos.
So next up we have looks like some stat changes. These are going to be primarily stat based, starting with Demon Blade.
Yeah,
having
so
some
this is a
things.
little bit more similar to the Cadeas Club change, where it's
Okay.
kind of like based on the items the trees that have been removed. These
Yeah.
items needed to find new homes in
Yeah,
a way, or they've been
filling a gap.
restatted.
Got it.
So Shadow Steel Shuriken was removed. We didn't want to just we found a new design space for Wind Demon. It is now going to be called Demon Blade.
Ooh.
And it's going to be
Mhm.
on the short sword tree.
Yep. I mean, you can't really build a shuriken out of a sword.
Right,
so-
exactly. It didn't
I
make
mean,
sense for it
you
to be
can if you try hard
the
enough.
previous name in art.
Listen, if
But,
one of the points
yeah.
is just a lot longer than the others, it's kind of a sword. It just has a really bad hand.
Just
I mean,
put
it's got
8
really
swords
sick
together.
design, too,
Or
so,
even 4 swords
I'm
together,
excited
duh.
to be using that. It's got an edgy
But
name too, so
Some of these,
That's
the
pretty
stats
neat.
might change, but the passives for all of these should be unchanged. So
Got
it's
it.
mostly kind of just reorganization of these items.
yeah.
Got it.
Specifically for Demon Blade, though, it did receive a bit of a nerf in that
It
it
did,
no
that's
longer
true.
provides movement speed on the passive, but everything else is exactly the same.
Got it. And worth noting, we do have cool new art. If some of it happens to be a little different in PTS or in game, that's because some of it's still getting a brush up here and there because we have really talented artists that like their stuff to look as amazing as possible. So
And it
if-
does look good.
Yeah, a lot of these are finished, but if you happen to be like, that looks a little different than I remember, then good on you for remembering. And yeah, it's because our artists are just really cool and always working. They're absolute artists.
Our goats.
So, truly goat. So next up, Breastplate of Regrowth, which was formerly a shield, wasn't it?
Yeah, throwback to that. This is now over in
To
the breastplate
breastplate tree?
So you're
Okay.
building it from
Okay.
silver breastplate. Does the exact same thing. It's just in the breastplate tree now.
It did
It's
lose
It's shiny.
I love it.
10.
I love it. I agree. So, continuing
Ooh.
down the same tree, we have Lotus Sickle.
Yeah, this is a cool one.
That's cool.
Oh,
Like
no,
debating
sorry.
whether
I
they
thought it
had-
was
they,
growing
heard
off
this, they
of
turned around and were like,
Breastplate of
let's-
Valor.
Let's just roll with it.
Let's just
So
roll.
Lotus
The
Crown,
name is good enough.
Helmetry, all that business, that's all gone. It's
more
now going to
hats.
be moved to the Ancient Blade tree, building off of Adventurer's Blade, and it is now a sick sickle.
It's
Sick
so
sickle.
cool.
Okay.
I mean,
Interesting.
But
But-
if you could have a sickle.
but yeah,
Yeah,
you can
but
have a
with the
sickle. I mean, why wouldn't
sickle.
you?
Super cool. And yeah, again, the art is just, I love seeing all this new art. It brings life into some of these. I mean, these are new items. Some
How
of them are
much
very simple
protections?
items, but it makes it really feel new when you get that new art
Right.
for it. So
You see it in the tree. It's like I haven't seen.
10%
that before.
Yeah,
cooldown
yeah.
is not bad.
need me some of them stats. All right. So next
Doggo
up,
going
Cleric's
blue for
Cloak coming in. This looks like a tier 2, I believe.
Yeah, so this one's going to be really interesting. So Cleric's Cloak, that entire kind of tier 2 path,
Yeah.
that's going to be changing because we're going to actually be removing the health and adding cooldown reduction as a primary stat for that tree.
Cooldown.
So
I
you'll
saw
notice
this.
that
This
Cleric's
is,
Cloak needed stat power,
basically
it's getting a little bit more
the-
protections, but the health is removed for that cooldown reduction.
This is gonna be a
That's also
better
gonna be
thing,
linking
this.
to the tier 3 item of Magi's Cloak.
Magi's
So
Cloak.
Magi's Cloak is going to be getting the increased protections as well, but removing the whole bunch of that health.
Oh, no, sorry,
and
not this
adding
side.
Cooldown reduction instead, and of course
Yeah.
the glyphs are also going to be equally effective.
Yeah, it'll grow up into those tier 4, I guess you'd call it,
Yeah.
the glyphs.
So again, kind of reinforcing our tree identities and spicing
Yeah.
things up, making sure
I mean,
that
it's
if you
interesting.
if you want stats in mind that you kind of want to go for, here are the places to go for.
Yep.
Got it. And it looks like we
Oh,
have one
my
last
bad.
little, kind of a whole tree of stat changes here, moving from the Morning Star, which is a tier 1, up to the Hydra's Star, and then all the way to Hydra's Lament.
Yep,
So,
similar as before.
MP5
that tree was kind of
removed.
identity was mana base, and while MP5 is
Oh.
kind of there, the Hydra's start like that. There's already MP5 kind of with the Hydra's Lament tree
Yeah.
a little bit. So we're just
Alright.
changing that stat from
I
MP5 to 10
guess.
mana.
Yep, it
Okay.
has a lot more synergy now with the Transcendence tree, just in general. So, if you do want to buy Hydrus and Transcendence, it's a little bit better together now.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
a
got
little
a
more
pairing.
synergy.
All right, so
Oh.
we've talked a lot of rework. We've talked a
Ooh,
lot
look
of
at mine.
deleting. This part, you can see how excited they got. This
Water's
part
back out.
is really exciting. We got new items, not
Brand new
reworked
ones.
with pretty new art, not like brand
Still pretty new art though.
items. I mean, no, it is still pretty new art, but like brand new everything. So we're gonna dive right in with the very first new item, the Cyclopean Ring.
Yeah.
So-
So.
exactly the same.
All right, I'll take this
Go,
one.
yeah, you
On
go
it,
ahead.
go
Because
for
More
it gives
if
you
I
a little
can
bit of time
hang.
for that tiny clumsy preamble, which is again, some of these there were items that were removed.
Yeah.
Some of these some of those were removed for specific reasons and allowed us to bring new design spaces into them. So Hekate was removed. Cyclopean Ring enters the field. And this is a new ADC ring, obviously being building off of the Emerald Ring
Yeah.
and Enchanted Ring tree. It's actually going to have a new stat of cooldown reduction. Again, we wanted to find new ways of. Okay, stat itself isn't new, but the stat for that tree
Yeah.
is new, right?
Show me the stats in the
AC
passive,
mages
come
didn't
on.
really have the option for
Because I know it's not just 80
now they have a
magical
little
power.
splash of that with Cyclopean Ring.
Got it.
And
I'm trying not to look at chat right now.
unique passive. The passive will be your basic attacks against an enemy god deal extra bonus magical damage based on the enemy's maximum health. So that means if you're going to be hitting tankier characters, you're going to be dealing actual more bonus damage towards them.
Yeah.
Now the other interesting thing here is that it
Other.
does have an ICD, but the ICD is further reduced the more successful basic attacks you deal.
Yeah.
So
You.
if you're really
actually-
laying it out, you're gonna take that cooldown and
And
continue
deal
to be
more damage
successful.
Oh, yeah.
to maximum health. Exactly.
You.
So land the auto attacks. Got it. Sure.
You cannot be
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah, I'm sure it can be.
8
so next up,
fucking
Tablet of
percent?
Destinies.
Oh, I
That's
am so
Are
excited
you
for this one.
fucking kidding me?
Well, this is going to be in the book tree. So with
Yep.
your Book of Thoughts, your Polynomicons, and this is a brand
Great.
new way to stack items. We have never seen a stacking item like this before.
4%
How this works that
is the
to get
maximum
stacks
that
on
should be.
Tablet of Destinies,
Zhang
you
Kui
need
can
to
get
hit
16% if he hits
So you can only
if he hits
redeem
both
one
his
stack
normal
every
auto
2 seconds,
and his side auto.
But this also has a separate trigger where you can only get them once per god per ability as well. So
Like, I get magical ADCs aren't
up
OP
to
right now,
50
but
stacks,
still.
and for each stack that you get, you deal true damage to
Based on your mana,
enemy
yeah.
gods
I
based
saw
on
this
the
item
percentage
on
of your
the
god's mana.
Reddit.
So
Ooh.
more stacks, more damage, more mana, even more damage.
Yeah, so while there used to be a Book of the Dead in this kind of spot that was kind of playing on that max mana synergy for defensive stats, which we found
Looks interesting. I don't know
hard to
why they
balance
went
because
a
Yeah.
tablet.
it was either too
instead
strong or
of,
too weak. Now you've got an
what's it
offensive
called?
option instead. Again, playing off
A
of that
book?
mana stat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, when
Like,
I first
call it
kind of
Fables
stacking
of
with cards
Destiny
playing the
and make it a
minigame, that's,
book,
like, the
because
greatest
it's
thing
built
ever,
off the
because you're
book
like,
tree.
alright,
These are so fun.
yeah, you're like, I'm already in here, I'm already doing it, but like, I gotta land all these abilities because that's how I'm gonna get my stacks. So,
Yeah.
absolutely love that. Look forward to that.
Dog is
so
boofing.
next up, we have the Bladed Boomerang. I'm a
Oh,
Boomerang
this one's
fan.
fun too.
So,
Yeah.
how about the Bladed Boomerang?
So this is going to be a new crit item, and you can kind of maybe you can't tell, but with the idea of this boomerang going on, the most important thing here, of course, is the passive. And the passive
Yeah.
is when you next base attack an enemy, you'll actually spawn a deployable, kind of taking the idea from like the earrings that were utilized, like manticores and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you pick up that deployable, you'll actually gain movement speed and more crit chance. So and this also the duration lasts long enough so that you can actually get more of these effects the more you're kind of picking up. So you can stack
Got
this
it.
effect up with the more boomerang pickups you gain.
Got it.
the-
So if
the
you're-
Okay,
boomerang
I
is
I
just
like
so
the
much fun,
concept
too,
of
because you
it.
hit someone with your boomerang,
It doesn't
and then
look
comes
that
right back to
stat
you and lands
efficient,
on the ground,
so.
and then you go pick it up. But like Clumsy said, the whole idea is for you to keep these stacked up,
Yeah.
and that movement speed and all of that other extra stuff is going to be helping you to get to wherever they land, depending on how the randomness ends
Got it.
ends up on the ground. But
It is a
Yeah.
short-term loop though, so you're not getting this buff for
Yeah.
like 30 seconds or like that. The ICD is also pretty short
It's very
to keep
short.
that gameplay
Yeah.
mechanic kind of sustained. Also, the fun thing here is that it's pretty. While it is going to be coming back to you, the boomerang deployable, it's not like going to be perfectly at your feet. It's going to have a little bit of a variance kind of in between you and the enemy that you hit. But if you're a melee character, you're going to be collecting that boomerang right to your face. So you get
Right.
like a little bit of an added bonus for that.
Boomerang to the face, as you might say.
Awesome.
I just love the mental games that come with this too, especially
Yeah.
as a hunter in lane of, am I gonna go for my boomerang? Am I not? Which way am I gonna go? You never know.
Yeah, you
so
bait on
playing,
the ability
playing the
because they're
mental
like,
game.
I see a circle they're gonna go for, and then they use an ability, and you're over here, and you're like, haha.
Yeah, you
So,
thought.
I'm just imagining like I hadn't even thought about that on a melee character. Like with a hunter, it's like boomerang, and then with the hunter, it's like
Yeah,
so-
exactly. You're holding onto that boomerang. You're not
Yeah, you
throwing
don't
it,
even
right?
gotta
You're
let
just
it go.
smacking them with it.
It
Yeah,
has a blade
it's yours.
Yeah,
It's
for a
perfect.
reason. I
Yeah,
mean.
so that's a great mental image I'm gonna carry with me into year 10. So next up, Shadow Drinker. That's a nice edgy name.
Ooh, oh yeah. And the art on this one is so sick
is
too.
cool.
Oh
It
my
is.
gosh.
It is super cool.
So this is going into the katana tree with your other.
See,
katana
people
items.
were hyping this
Yeah.
up.
Stone cutting sword slot.
Yeah. And the
That's
fun
pretty
part about this one is again
I-
towards that passive is
It's
if you
stat
cast
efficient.
heal on an enemy, you will
but
be
I
going
don't
invisible
think
for the next 10
its
seconds. And so this invisibility
passive
is treated
is
like your
that
Morgan
strong.
stealth, where if you do anything, if you take a basic
I
attack, if you ability,
don't get me
you
wrong,
get hit by
stealth
anything,
is
you are instantly
strong,
broken out of the stealth.
but I think
Also, an
it's
advantage
going
to
to be
this
used
is
mostly as a stat
think of
stick, and
it
that
that
its
you're getting the stealth
passive
and the movement speed.
is not
You
going
can
to
be
be
broken
that
out of
good.
the stealth. The
Because
movement speed
it's
most likely
conditional
won't.
upon
Okay, so it's a
you
good like
killing an enemy,
secure the objective.
And
and it
sneak
only
away.
lasts for
Yeah,
3
yeah.
seconds. Because the
So
Loki stealth, I think, lasts for like
yeah,
5, 6
cool, cool.
seconds.
So we drank the
Al
shadows.
Kuang lasts for
Now we got the
5,
Dawnbringer.
Hey,
Morgan
yeah, that's a
lasts
great
for
start.
5.
Yeah.
So it's going to be shorter.
With the next two
I
items,
don't think it's going to be that
similar
good,
there too,
honestly.
we wanted to play around with a little bit more utility effects based on the trigger, kind of like the Arthurian trigger of using
Yeah.
your ultimate. So,
Okay.
Dawnbringer, yeah, when your ultimate ability is finished casting, you actually gain protections and movement speed based on
Nice.
how many enemy gods are nearby you when
Okay.
you've done that.
Mhm.
So, kind of, again, playing with the active component of gaining
This is
more
like
utility
the,
effects, you want to specifically position yourself
this is like the
inside the enemies and,
thorns.
close to as many enemies as you can.
I
Yeah.
forgot,
So it's a good this is a
Not
great item
Sapping
for
Strike,
diving
the
into
other one.
engagement. All the enemies are there. You
Overgrown
get that off,
thorns?
and then all of a sudden, max benefits, max battling. I
Yeah,
guess.
you're feeling tanky, you're feeling fast, you are about to go crazy.
Yeah,
You are
that's
in
the exact same thing that gets from
cool. So
Overgrown
that is
thorns.
Dawnbringer. Next up, still going, still more new items.
Mhm.
Absolution.
This one has been so fun to playtest. I
Fun.
can't even tell you the amount of times where I have been playing support and I've wanted to pick this one up.
This
as
was
soon as I can.
replacing-
Obviously,
Yeah.
there's a lot of more fun items coming up for the early game. This one's a great one towards the
That's
team fight stage.
okay.
So what this item does is, like you said earlier with the Arthurian trigger,
Ooh.
after you finish your ultimate, you pulse out a CC cleanse aura that cleanses people for a very short duration.
Yeah.
So it's basically shorter beads for everybody around you. So,
Got
for
it.
instance, I've been playing Atlas, and I throw my Atlas ult out to get people going, and then cleanse everybody of Ares ult or something.
Yeah.
It's just so fun to
Wow.
have that level of control as a support to do these very fun supporty things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't wait to see people
I
go crazy
like
with
it.
this,
I
to
like
be
it.
honest. This has such a fun
It's definitely interesting.
skill cap level, and especially that team play that comes alongside it. Supports are gonna go even crazier than they already have been.
I was about to say I can already see it, especially in like professional play or like the high level play where it's like, oh, what an incredible ult, CC the whole team, then the support comes in, whoa, what
Oh,
an incredible
yeah,
ult, no
rip
CC,
Ares.
fight is turned. So it's
Rip
gonna provide
Ares,
a
rip
lot of story,
Daji.
and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I can't
Because
wait
if
to see
you
what
time
they
it
do.
right,
yeah,
oh
that's gonna
god.
be y'all are gonna take that and run with it.
Mhm.
So after Absolution, we're moving on to an Abyssal Stone, not a Void Stone.
Yeah,
Abyssal Stone.
And you hit the nail on the head. We're playing around with that stone tree again.
Yeah.
Again, no power, right? These are just going to be the defensive stats. So I wanted to readdress that for the hammers and the other things that we're talking about. We're
No
looking
way
at
for
the
Guardians to
stats.
debuff their
Yeah.
opponents.
Pretty important. But Abyssal Stone, passive here, successful ability damage to an enemy god, actually will debuff them with
Okay.
negative cooldown reduction.
Never been seen
Ooh.
before.
Yeah.
Crazy,
Here's
right,
some
guys?
time.
So yeah, so this is something that we've kind of played around with the idea of, and we found this to be an opportune time to try and kind of test the waters with this.
Yeah.
So it's the way this works is that when you hit the enemy, you apply this debuff to them. It's not going to be doing anything to any abilities that's currently on cooldown for them. It's going to be any new abilities that do while that debuff is there. So for
Got
example,
Mm.
I hit you. You then use your ultimate. Your ultimate now has a 20% longer cooldown than it would have had normal,
That's crazy.
or any of your
That's-
other abilities.
yeah,
as
any
well.
of your other
Really
abilities.
But that's like the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Now again, similar to Bladed Boomerang in a way, this is a shorter loop where the debuff duration and the ICDs are kind of shorter to make you like able to kind of play around with the spectrum multiple people in a team fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's crazy. I can only imagine. You hit me with it. I'm like, haha, you barely hurt me. I throw my ult out, especially as a guardian, one of those really long cooldowns, and then I'm like, why? That's 10 seconds longer than it should be.
Mhm.
So that's really cool. So next up we have.
I like that they're
lost all my
trying
words.
new things,
We have
definitely.
Archdruid's Fury.
yeah, Archdruid's Spirit. I touched the button and I
Ooh.
messed everything up.
This one's so much
I've done
fun.
that so many times. Don't worry.
Right.
So, this is an aggressive item for your supports or your solo laners that
Okay.
are planning to take a lot of damage, but they also want to deal some back in
Mm.
return.
Kick it
So,
back a little bit. All right.
how the passive on this one works is for every 5% of damage that you take, you'll gain a stack. And then when
Okay.
you're ready to be rid of your stacks, which you can have a max of 6, you just gotta walk up to someone, drop a basic attack, and they'll be taking
Kinda
a
smack 'em in
lot
the
of
face.
damage back.
Yeah, just give him a bonk.
Just a little.
Then you hit him with a Carapace Shard as well,
Yeah,
and they're really feeling
wow,
the pain.
yeah, they're gonna be losing quite a lot of health.
I don't think this is gonna be good.
All right. So the next item.
I also don't think that's gonna be good.
Item here we have Phalanx.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Phalanx again, similar to how Toxic Blade kind of absorbed a passive from another.
Yeah.
we've always found the design space and the kind of niche opportunity that Tyrannical Plate Helm to be really interesting and something that we can kind of play around with a little bit more. So we're bringing that in here a little bit with Phalanx. So passive, yeah, when you're basic attacked by an enemy god, your friendly minions will be gaining a similar buff as before of attack speed and some protection. So now the more you're basic attack, the more you're positioning yourself well, the more your minions are going to be like gunning at that guy with increased vigor.
Your homies got you back in the lane.
Exactly.
This is especially fun in solo.
That's like
kind of a basic attack warrior counter. Like if you're below,
yeah, I was about to say that.
Through the whole lane, King Arthur is trying to use his cleave autos. Well, you stand and win. Not only are you making your minions stronger, but you can do the classic, I'm gonna get the aggro for all your minions, group them all up, smack them together, and my minions are taking even less damage because you've hit me.
Yeah.
What the heck? That's
so,
crazy.
yeah, a lot of good trade potential. All right. And I love the name. Phalanx is just such a cool name. I don't know how else to say that.
And it's in the shield tree.
And it's in the shield tree.
And they
So
get up
next
to 45 protections. That's not bad.
Which this one, I think, evolves, too. So, yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, so Prophetic Cloak. This one's really interesting. Obviously, it's going to be in the cloak tree.
Yeah.
This was kind of designed because while we understand as that Gauntlet of Thieves is kind of a strong design space, it's kind of hard to dethrone the king in a way. We've seen that a little bit with Mail of Renewal in the past, and it's not necessarily that we want to remove it as an option. We kind of just wanted to give it an actual competitor. So Prophetic Cloak, it's actually going to be very interesting.
20% CDR, Jesus.
Classes of gods, and based on the one that you damage, you're going to be gaining protections as an aura for that class. So if I hit you and you're playing a hunter, I'm going to be gaining an aura of physical protections for myself and my team.
Yeah.
Now, if I then go over to the mid lane, or if you're playing arena and you're hitting multiple people, and you go and hit a mage, you're going to be gaining a stacking magical aura.
Oh, that's crazy.
So it's a stacking aura based on the class of enemy that you're for protections. And when you get to
I can't wait for you guys to see this the evolved version. This is big. This is big.
And it'll be gaining a completely different effect, where if you have over a certain amount of protections as a whole, you actually gain bonus damage mitigation.
Dang.
So the more protections you have, the more mitigation you gain.
That's cool. Yeah,
two different tiers.
That's a lot of stats, and I like the way that works too, because it's situational. You know, if you're in that solo lane,
good.
Damage is coming from
I need mitigation.
I'm gonna hit that person, get this aura, and then we have a better chance of winning this trade, winning this fight. So again, a lot of what I'm seeing and what I'm loving is skill expression, and how you get to pick and choose when you're fighting and what stats you have for these environments, and showing off what you're best at, you know?
This one's also really interesting because there's also designed downsides as well. Where if you're versing like a very heavy magical based team, or 4 or 5 or 4 or 5 physical based team, this may not be the best option, because then you're stacking up on like a dual stat, or if they have 5 of one stat completely, then you literally can't evolve this item because you will not be able to gain stacks.
Yeah, you got to remember that you do have to build the stacks, and these stacks build once every 10 seconds.
Get reduced magic damage, and the rest of their team,
and you have to get 15 of each.
Good for the stacks. The buff means nothing.
Exactly.
So
gotta be planning when you get this one, and planning who you're
and you only get the mitigations after you build a certain amount of protections.
Like Clumsy was saying, if you need to go and get some magical stacks, time to go to mid.
Time to wander, yeah.
Yeah, it's time to start roaming the map.
All right, looks like we have one new item. There's a lot of items,
There's
right?
a lot.
So the Cannoneers, Curious? Yeah. That's a word I don't use very often in my day-to-day life. So pronounce it right
at home.
No, not often.
So this item is kind of another alternative to Thieves, but this is more along the lines of...
It's very early game focused, for sure.
Very, very early game focused, but it's really great at funneling your carry. So this is basically designed for supports. It's very hard to use this in the solo because of its passive, and let's get into that.
Talk about it.
Every few seconds, you're able to instantly kill a lane minion. Not
That's
jungle
20
minions,
seconds.
Not jungle bosses. Lane
Just the
minions.
lane minions. Got it.
Very, very clear about that. This is for the lane only. So you do kill this, and then if there is an ally within your range, they're going to get bonus gold. So you might be thinking, well, I don't want the last...
I wonder if you can cheese this with Sylvanas, because you get AoE auto attacks.
When you blow up that minion, well, like I said, it blows up. It deals damage to enemy minions in a small aura. So it's setting up for last hits, too. So not only are you funneling gold, but you're getting your carry extra last hits, too, if they're able to get those extra hits on those minions that have been brought lower.
Wow.
It's interesting. I don't think it's good.
That's a lot of good support benefits, too, because like you said, the explosion, the extra gold, I just love that. That's another way to contribute to your lane.
It's definitely interesting.
To kill those minions, because again, it's a little bit counterintuitive. Don't get me wrong, because generally you want the sustain from not getting the last hits. But setting up the last hits for your ally and granting them extra gold, being able to do that and min-max this kind of passive and how often it's up is going to be really, really crucial to getting your hyper carry ADC, whether that's your Artemis, your Freya, whoever it might be. That's a really, really keen strategy for those characters that need gold to get going.
Yeah, and I mean, I can already see the use cases of this because, like, you've won a good trade, you got to get back, you want to crash the wave. This will help you get them ready for last hits. Your person last hits, the wave is cleared faster. You're going back quicker. You're able to. It's just it lets you have your foot on that lead, and it lets you take another step up. So.
Exactly.
If you don't want to think about the min max too much, you just pick this up and you're clearing the wave a little bit faster. So that way, if you have like a hunter with low clear, or whatever maybe, or your guardian with low clear, you're now just being a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. Gebs of the world rejoice.
Hooray! So cool, and that is gonna do it for the new items. We still got some items a little bit of general balance left.
Well, they're
previous categories we've gone through the hybrid items, we've gone through all the rework.
Well, they're
items, the
talking
snapshots,
about this.
we've gone
I'm
through
reading.
the new items. That's like the whole
I'm reading ahead in the
bulk
patch
of, like,
notes.
one big pass. Now
There are
it's
some
just,
good
like,
notes.
general balance.
There's
Yeah,
some
this is
really
like
good
now we're
ones,
just talking about
especially for
normal
me.
buff stuff, and then in regards to your 10.
Yeah, so and we're gonna kick that off with some starter items. So it looks like the first of them is the Archmage gem.
Yeah, so I think we can breeze through these a little bit faster,
Go
not just the
for it.
starter items, just in general, because these are just general buffs and nerfs that
dive
they're
into
not
it
going to
then,
be too
Clumsy.
crazy. So starter items, we saw a lot of mage changes before, or whether it's the hunters that are a little bit more prevalent in the mages, Sands of Time getting buffed, Archmage's gem and as a whole just wasn't really as strong. So small buffs there. It's going to be gaining some more.
Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't really matter that much.
Cool.
Conduit
And then,
or Sand of Time is still
a
going
lot
to
of
be
the starter
OP.
item changes, like you said. I mean, a lot of starter item changes. So let's just keep going down the list.
So I guess on top of that one, Gem of Focus.
Yeah.
As an upgrade, it'll be gaining a little bit more increased movement speed and a little bit more damage, but we're going to be losing on that mitigation.
Which is good, because it's going to take it away from solo.
Characters anymore. It's still really good to keep that extra damage going.
Yeah.
But you're just not going to be as survivable anymore.
Yeah,
That helps push it away.
Dog
from
is
the
boofing again.
lineup as well that we saw, but
Got
there's
it.
a whole bunch of changes coming into your 10.
Yeah.
True that.
That's
a lot
not the
of them.
only starter
She
item.
be boofing.
Yeah. So after Gem of Focus, we have Bluestone Pendant.
Yes. So the biggest change here is one that we referenced a little
All right,
bit.
let me close my door.
Where
Give me one
this
second.
will be getting that damage after.
The subsequent damage.
Subsequent damage. That's the word I was looking for.
She's quieter,
reduction.
at least.
The important thing here to note as well, because I did the math on these, is some of these numbers look like they're massive buffs because the damage component themselves needs to be increased at least a little bit if the subsequent damage is going to be reduced by a lot. Because if you are not someone who has a lot of abilities, you're going to be, if we didn't actually buff the numbers, you're going to just be severely hurt by this.
Yes.
And even then, even with that in mind, even with the increased damage numbers, it's still going to be slightly worse than it was before.
Yeah, this just levels the playing field for the characters that have a million abilities, like King Arthur, and those that have 4, like our boy Sun Wukong.
Got it.
And specifically for Bluestones as well, because they're a little bit more unique than Glad Shields, that they had a dot effect.
Interesting.
So, the actual amount of stacks...
Why are people saying Durag Ymir?
So it's no longer be stacking up to twice. It's just the one stack, a little bit more similar to the others.
Yep.
Got it. Because moving on to that, we have Corrupted Bluestone and Bluestone Brooch, both
effectively the exact same thing.
Got it.
Subsequent damage reduction. Damage numbers look a lot higher, but it's also no longer stacking.
Easy peasy. All right, so how about the Warding Sigil? What's going on with that one?
Oh, this one is going to be very fun. So Warding Sigil, ever since we introduced starter items, it's been a little bit difficult to see
Go,
this guy
baby.
get
Here we
any
go.
conquest, which is always a little bit sad to see. So this is going to give a little bit of sustain now for each stack of dampening that you get. So you get and you get healing for 1% of your max health over those next few seconds.
Nice. And does that carry into Sigil of the Old Guard, or how's that changing?
Yeah, so we are also bringing those up, I do believe.
Yeah, Sigil of the Old Guard as well. We'll be gaining kind of a similar change.
Yeah,
there.
similar
3% max health per
Yeah.
ability
This is
taken.
the level
Upgraded.
20 version of it.
So if you don't have anti-heal and you're trying to spam me with abilities,
Just like so
I'm
many
taking no
different rounds,
damage
like
and I'm
right.
healing.
I get you.
Sundering Axis one's going to just be a small buff to the current health steal.
Okay.
But the interesting one coming up is the Axe of Animosity.
Get into it.
So this used to be Hero's Axe.
Yeah, it
and
was
Yep.
changed.
if you can tell by the name change, it's now going to be the Axe of Animosity because there's going to be kind of like a passive swap coming up.
Got it.
Which we'll get into the next one. So Axe, the Animosity effect is now going to live on what used to be Hero's Axe. So now it's going to be in the Warrior's Axe tree. Because of that, there's going to be a little bit of stat reduction with the protections being reduced for what is now Acts of Animosity. But it will
Okay.
be dealing the animosity effect. So the passive will be your basic attacks deal bonus damage equal to a
I don't hate
percentage of
that.
maximum health to enemies and structures. So again, animosity was a little bit of an odd spot for kind of like this very aggressive effects, but on a support starter item.
Yeah.
Now it makes a lot more sense for those to be swapped. So you're going to be gaining. I guess in the next one you're gonna animosity is now changed to heroism because if
attack,
animosity
yeah.
no longer exists, now we need that new starter item, which was previously the Hero's Axe passive. So
Okay.
those ones are
Which
basically just doing
is
swap.
going to be a
Switch
huge,
heroism from
a
animosity and then back to
huge
animosity.
change.
Got it.
Because now I can go
So continuing to move on.
animosity on
Warflag games,
Erlong,
love it.
but start with
Yes,
Warrior's
this is
Axe.
so
That's
exciting.
pretty good.
Warflag has had a little bit of trouble in Conquest. It's been insane in modes like Arena and Assault, where everyone's
Yeah.
kind of lined up in front of you and ready to get hit to get those gold triggers. But we're changing the gold trigger to make it a little
Okay.
bit more effective in all of the modes. Equally, you might say.
Yeah.
So we're kind of taking a little bit from the other starter items in the support role specifically and making it so that whenever you are getting that killer assist that would normally just give you that attack speed and movement speed,
Got
it's
it.
also now going to give you that gold trigger. But again, this item is different from Sentinels and different from Benevolence in that the sustain is a lot less because you are getting these extra aggressive stats in the attack speed and movement speed. So
Okay, but
it
you
still
also
has
don't
that
get
very
anything
applicable
from
gold
attacking.
that you do want
Yeah,
as a
of course.
support. But now you're having those extra aggressive stats, and by all means, movement speed, attack speed, really, really helpful,
Always
especially in the early
important.
game.
And how does that transfer into War Banner? Is that
Yeah, so it's a very similar kind of transfer where this is getting gold per 5 instead
Okay.
of that extra effect. You're just going to get a very consistent flow of gold in instead of having to once again play around that old basic attack.
I mean,
speed
it'll
and
be
movement
interesting to
All
play
right.
with.
Cool.
Definitely.
So we're kind of out of the starter realm, it looks like,
Ooh.
because we're moving on to Erendite getting a bit of a buff.
Yep. So these are honestly a little bit almost. Well, I was gonna say it's gonna be easier to explain than I just saw what's next. So maybe not. Erendite needs a buff. It's getting a buff.
Boom. Easy
Boom.
peasy.
Easy peasy.
Okay.
Erendite.
Simple enough.
Next up,
Moving on.
little more complicated. Aussie getting a shift a little bit.
Right. So Aussie. So we're shifting this item to be a little bit more of a high power, high lifesteal item, but it's going to be losing the penetration to balance that. And you're gonna
You
see a little bit more
decrease the
penetration
cost of
in several
that.
of the items coming in this list. So Aussie, we're going to be decreasing the cost.
Hold up, no.
Over
You
game.
decrease the
Increasing
cost.
power by
You
double,
take
so
away
it's
the
gonna go 25%.
15
Power.
Increasing the
flat
lifesteal a little
pen,
bit, decreasing the attack
and
speed,
you
all of
buffed
a lot of stat
everything
boosts,
else
but
about
you're
it.
completely losing that physical penetration.
And
So
yet,
one of the
I'm
reasons
going back in
why-
the patch notes to look for
Yeah,
this.
so this
Make
would
up the
typically be the second item that you'd see in those kind of transcendence power.
And yet, you increase Divine Ruin, Brawler's Beatstick, Toxic Blade costs. Get the fuck out of
A
here.
little bit in more of that space where if you want to deal a lot of damage with your abilities,
Yeah.
you're having a better time at doing that.
Like,
and you get that extra power for your skill.
What?
Makes sense. So the next
Where
on
do
the
you?
list, Atlantis Bow, also kind of a shift.
Oh yeah, this
That's
is
150
a lot
gold
cheaper.
cheaper
This item
or
has
more
been
expensive
a little over the
than
place, in the past couple of years with
um,
crit chance, no crit chance, so we
Dev
have no more
Gauntlets.
crit chance. And now we are just going to a little bit more power, a little bit more attack speed, and we're decreasing the COD a little bit. It's also cost.
It's also
sorry.
yeah, it's removing
No
lifesteal too.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
two of
But-
those stats being removed.
But
Yeah, it's a lot.
it has 10% physical penetration now.
I can't wait to see what the
So
other
that
streamers think
option,
about
Yep,
this.
is
This
now
is
into
very
that
interesting.
little bit of lifesteal build that you see where it's a little bit easier to get into this percentage pen with the extra bit of attack speed and power that you're getting. Nice little splash there.
Just a little splash.
Mm.
Speaking of little
It's
splashes,
an alright item.
Bloodforge also getting just a pretty straightforward
Yeah.
buff.
Oh,
Pretty
this one's
straightforward.
fun.
It's going to be getting that cost decrease. It's a little bit.
That's a
it's
decent
cost
cost
providing,
decrease.
but also
Yeah.
a little bit of that movement speed increase as well. Just honestly, an item that just might be undervalued. It's you
Yeah.
want to just like give it a little bit of a flavor, fun buff, so that people pick it up a little bit more often.
Yeah, just a little
Yeah.
more love.
Before it was a little bit of a luxury item. Now it's at least a little bit more affordable.
Got it. All right, so the Crusher also having quite the list of changes, more shifting.
Yeah, this one's very, very cool. So previously in the mastery, there was only 1% pen option.
Yeah.
But we decided that we'd like to open it up to another one for different kinds of characters. 'cause
Oh.
Titan's Bane's really good on a particular subset of characters
Yeah.
that's slamming all their abilities down at once and just being done. Whereas Crusher is a little bit more for those, not necessarily spammy characters, but characters that have a lot of abilities coming out over time. So Crusher is still going to be keeping the general vibe of how it works. It's going to be getting that subsequent hit.
Exactly.
20 to
Yeah.
40% on the
We're
passive.
changing the penetration to be percentage.
And because of that, like that shift, it's no longer flat. We're also kind of shifting.
That's
towards,
interesting.
Like a late game.
I don't know.
Because it didn't really make sense.
Yeah,
to
neath.
be percent
Definitely
in
neath.
Early game, that those two generally don't go
That
as
makes
close
sense.
to hand in hand. So it's going to be gaining a lot more. So it's like the cost is going to be nerfed, or it's going to be gaining a lot more of a cost price. But it's also going to be gaining a lot more power. It's going to be gaining some more attack speed as well.
40% from the passive, by the way. That's a lot.
I'm just dancing
a lot,
real quick.
a lot.
And because of the percent pen, we're going to see this kind of a mirror change. It's going to be off of the Warrior's Bane item instead of where it was previously.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
We'll see this mirror
across
as
the
well
tree.
for the mages too.
Yeah, and moving forward again, dominance. Also kind of a shift, a little smaller of a shift it looks like, but still some shifting.
Yeah, so we wanted to give this one a little bit more of an identity, right? Between this
Yeah.
and Silver Branch, it was kind of hard to decide, do I go this?
This is
one,
gonna
do I
hurt.
go that one?
That one.
So
This
one
is
a little
gonna
bit
hurt
more
us
of a
tanks
love towards that
real
Wither
bad.
direction. It's getting attack speed.
Because they can
and
get
it's
60%
the
pen.
penetration away from just being in the base, so it's not really as helpful
Yeah.
on those characters that aren't really using their basic attacks. This is now moving it from the just general stat to the passive. So
Gotcha.
your basic attacks doing more penetration, but you're not having it on your regular.
It is a nerf every time.
Now I'm going to complicate things a lot further. I was like staring at the patches for a while, or the
Bologna dot.
the show flow for a little while because I was trying to figure out where.
Hold up. Let
Silver
him cook.
Branch Bow. I feel like we'll move that up. I'm going to skip to that because it's somewhere else. Silver Branch Bow exists in the same realm as a lot of these pen options, so I want to make sure we address that.
Yeah, you can build this with Silver Branch.
From 20% to 10% of his physical penetration. And that's also a lot of the reason why we're seeing these shifts, not just on Dominance, but also, like we said, on Atalantis as well. We want to just kind of spread out that percent pen from Silver Branch, which has historically just kind of been a little bit too strong, and move that along.
A little bit too strong. You had it
It's not
built
that,
on
kinda
people who
catch-all
couldn't
that you just buy
reach
it
the
and build it
passive.
If you're not making use of the passive, now you really have to say, okay, am I going to actually use this
Yeah, do
passive
I
to make
need
it
it?
worth it? Do I need it, or will I just
Exactly.
go
They don't have that on
Because
patch
yeah,
notes, by the
either
way.
way.
I just
Quite
want to
strong. Like,
point
we
that
wanna
out.
make sure that kind of shines.
Silver Branch isn't on the patch notes.
Yeah, got it. Instead of just, I need the stats, the passives, whatever. So,
Exactly.
got it. So the next shift, Devourer's Gauntlet, has a ton of changes to it. If you want to get
Ton
into
of
it.
changes.
Ton of
Yeah.
changes.
It's getting an increased cost. We want to
Nerf.
just kind of make sure that Transcendence
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
Dev Gloves kind of live in a more competitive design space. Dev Gloves, a little bit too cheap. Gonna go increased.
Yeah,
Gotta go
100
a little bit.
changes, one for each coin. All right, next up, Emperor's Armor also getting a shift.
Yeah, so this has been one of the most MVP valuable items across the board for supports, just because it's had a humongous value in the passive and the stats by itself. So it's going to be going up in cost.
I
In addition
never
to
really
that,
cared
the
about this
passive
item,
is
honestly.
actually going to be getting a little bit stronger on the offensive end.
Exactly.
Got
So
it.
a little bit easier for you to dive, but you're going to have to pay a little bit more for those stats now because they're pretty good.
They're pretty nice. So you got to pay a premium for the good things.
Oh, yeah.
Mail of Renewal also getting a
A
shift.
little bit of shift there. We saw, like we talked about with Gauntlet of Thebes, I had a little bit of some time there in the sun.
Decreased
cost,
cost, so it's cheaper than Thebes.
Cost a little bit.
More health.
And the HP 5, but also in turn we're going to be decreasing the protection. So
Yep.
kind of.
I think that's a
lowering
worth
the health of
trade-off.
HP 5 as the stats that are kind of premier for that item, and then decreasing the protections to make space for some of the other items. This shift also kind of lives in line with the kind of the tree identity that we were talking about before. Just making sure that this is a little bit more emphasized on the stats that would make sense.
For everyone who's saying tank meta, shut up.
Cool.
It's
So
not
we
going to be a
have,
tank meta.
Midgardian Mail look like it's getting a little bit of change.
It's not going to be a
So I
tank
have
meta.
noticed
It's
previously
that you
Witchblade,
damage
Outlaw,
dealers are
Midnight
finally,
Light,
especially you
Outlaw.
hunters,
So in
are
theory,
finally getting
making sure
taken
that
down a
our
peg.
Hunter counter item is a little bit more applicable here, so
Yeah.
we're just giving it.
You
a
got
little bit
Glad
more
Shield
thought. So when you
nerfs.
do buy it, now you know exactly which
What
one
else you
should
want?
be buying at any given point because there's only one option now, so it's really
Yeah.
a lot less complicated, a lot less like min-maxing what the stats are. But in addition to that, Midgard is just a little bit stronger now.
A little stronger. And then Oni Hunter's Garb, also a little bit of a shift.
A little bit of shift there. Going to be decreasing the health just by 50, but in turn we're going to be increasing the passive again, leaning away from.
I
the
like
stats
it, I
and
like
making
it.
The passives a little more
Yep.
in the limelight.
Got it. So Rage, getting a little bit more of a
Yeah,
buff.
that sounds
Yeah.
interesting.
Rage time.
This one's super fun because Rage is kind of like an all or nothing item, right? Where
Yeah.
you don't really want this if it's not stacked, but if it is fully stacked, you're having a great time. But to give it a little bit more of a nice smooth curve to where you get to that top point, we're giving
Ooh.
it power every time that you stack it.
Yep. So.
Okay,
we're gonna
I
be
don't hate that.
power per stack, but we're also
I don't
gonna
like
be
crit,
decreasing
but I
how
don't
many stacks it is to the
hate
top end,
that.
So it doesn't feel as like rough. Like
Oh,
it's
they do
between
have
six
Soul
stacks
Branch
and
on here, but
all
they
the
had
stacks.
it.
So it's just going to be going from 5 to
They
5.
had it way further down.
evolved rage is also going to be hit with that too. So it's going to be the same exact critical strike chance at the end, but you're going to be increasing in your physical power.
Okay, yeah, a little extra swing in that in the rage item.
Yep.
So Rod of Tahuti, also a little bit of a buff, also nice and simple.
Yeah, we're just kind of gear shifting here straight away back to mages from
another
rage.
hard
but,
shift. Yeah.
Okay, here we are now in Mage Land. Rod of Tahuti, just too expensive for what it was offering in our
Oh,
month.
yeah.
So we're bringing it down a little bit. This also does reflect upon the glyphs as well, so they are additionally that overall price that you would be going to get either the two up there, also going down just a bit.
Awesome, and we talked about this one a little earlier, but Silver Branch Bow having
Yep,
that shift.
that'll
So
Yep.
live in
yeah, we'll move
Hunterland.
forward with that. Spear of the Magus shift back into Mage World.
Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of mirroring the shift we saw on the Hunter side.
And Crusher.
So now we have Spear of the Magus, which is going to be built
like
off
it.
a spell focus tree because its flat pen is going to be turning into percent pen.
Yep.
Got it. Easy peasy.
I like it.
All right, and it looks like we have one more,
more.
and that's the
This is the
Sphinx's
fun one.
Bauble getting a buff.
Oh yeah, so Sphinx's Bauble has been in and out of the meta. It's very
In and out of the meta.
right
Yeah.
now, and in
No,
some
it's
very
not.
specific builds. So we just want it to be a little bit more worth its price, make it a little bit easier to get into.
course.
It still is almost 100% a luxury item. Don't go buying this first item because it is going to make it a little bit worse for you.
Yeah.
But we want to still lean into
It's still
its
bad.
full power mage potential. So we're giving it more power and dropping the price a little bit. So
Awesome.
Try it
Still
out.
bad.
I promise you, it's really not that bad. It's not that far
bad.
off.
Pick it
It's
up.
bad.
Give it a
In
shot.
fact, it's pretty good.
Have
Yeah,
some
I
fun.
would say it's
on
pretty
the
good.
on the right characters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, don't be buying.
Yeah, I was
every
gonna say like,
character,
Asterisk.
yeah,
every-
this is not a unanimous bias in every game.
Yeah. So
On the characters that can really use their cooldowns. Like, I'm
Exactly.
thinking like Nuwa. Oh my god, can you imagine the ults going off that fast? Yeah, it's much better now.
all right.
Give it at
So that was
60.
items. We've did it. We made it
Make
to the end of
the-
items.
Between water and something else, because I'm just like, you know what, we've got another.
Give it
big
60%
We got
cooldown
one-
again.
So
and
still got more balance
make
for
it,
those of you if you're following along
what's
with
it called?
patch notes. Awesome. There's been a lot of stuff we've gone over. Where we have a little more balance to go through. We have gods now, but like with the items, there's some standard.
Give it 60% cooldown, make the nerfs still a little bit stronger, and the passive nerfs, and boost the base stats, and I think it'll be fine.
Let's get into it
Just-
with some class bonuses.
Yeah, so this is in a completely new, mechanic, a new
100%.
feature, a new
Yeah.
system almost. Similar to how shards were an item-based gameplay feature that affects all game modes, class bonuses is going to be affecting all gods, all the time, all game modes.
All of
Yep.
Smite.
So, what these really are is that you've got your 5 classes,
Yeah.
warriors, mages, guardians, hunters, assassins. Did I get the right? It's like just making sure. And each of these
I get you.
classes, I mean, as simple as it sounds, are going to be gaining their own bonuses. It's basically kind of stats, usually that are either
Okay.
there at the base or gaining per level.
Yeah.
That are kind of the goal for these are to lean in on the identity of what these classes are for, and just play a little bit more into that. So it'll be a good, better example when we go for the first one.
Yeah,
So
start
warriors.
getting into it. Yeah.
Warriors are going to be gaining 5 flat cooldown reduction, as well as 0.25% per level. So
Got
that's
it.
going to be
Okay.
from 5% at level 1 because of the flat, all the way to 10% at level 20.
Yeah.
It's not
A
horrible.
lot of these, I don't want to go too far into when things are linked to each other, but obviously, if you remember from the Conquest discussion, if you were there for that, blue buff lost its cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
It was some of that was on the silver buff, but this is just one way of playing around with. What do warriors want? What kind of specializes you as a warrior bruiser instead of like a guardian bruiser? Is we want you to play around with your abilities a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
You can be kind of more basic attack focused. You can be more ability focused, but warriors as a whole want to exert their pressure in the lane, whether it's conquest or still exert your pressure everywhere else on the battlefield
Exactly.
if you're in a different game mode. So you're now going to be gaining flat cooldown reduction as well as some scaling to level 20.
Yep.
Nice. I mean,
Alright.
next up we have assassins. What are their bonuses going to
Yeah,
be?
so let's get into that. So
What do assassins
over the
want,
years,
right?
over the years, we've had this kind of
Flat pen, yeah.
I won't say it's a problem, right? Because we love to see class flexibility. We love to see people trying
Yeah.
different characters in different places. But one thing that we wanted to try and establish with this is to say these characters are meant to be the best at this specific role, at this specific task.
Yeah.
And so assassins, their task is to go and gank people,
Yeah.
right?
Deal damage.
So-
They're
Okay.
killer machines.
They're killing machines.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whoa.
So what do assassins want? They want flat pen. They want to get it going early.
What they want.
So
Give it to
It's
them.
what they asked for.
we're going to be giving
They
them
wrote a letter.
5 plus 0.25 per level physical penetration. So this will be 5 at level 1, and then at level 20, it'll end up at 10.
I mean, 5
Beautiful.
penetration
Next up,
early
we
on,
have mages.
just
And what do
inherently
the mages
is
want?
pretty
They
big.
want a
They want a lot of
Mage want damage.
They want mages
Whether it's
want
for
to deal
killing people or
damage.
killing NPCs or
Yeah,
whatever it may
clearing
be.
the
so they
wave,
want damage.
whatever. They want
So-
damage.
We're gonna see a little bit of kind of a mirrored effect here, or kind of like a yin and yang effect here for the mages and the hunters.
Yeah.
So I want to mention that a little bit. mages are getting a little bit more damage up front, so you'll see that they're based a little bit more, and hunters are going to be gaining something for a little bit later for the late game. So we want to make sure that this is one mechanism of balance that allows us to say like, hey, we know his season 9 mages have kind of been pushed out of the spotlight, whether it's in mid or whatever mode you might be playing, but specifically as well in the SPL, we saw a lot of double hunters going on, and one of the reasons why was because the lane pressure they exert, right? So we wanted to say, hey, mages, we want to make sure that they're a little bit stronger in the early game, especially compared to hunters. At least in what they're good for. So mages are going to be gaining 20.
I mean, they're based on ability, so power was the only really option.
As well as just 1 per level. So scales from 20 all the way to 40. 20 early game is a lot.
That's a
40
lot.
late game,
Yeah.
not as much.
Got it. All right, another good change though. So what are my Guardians getting? What did they want?
Well, Guardians are the best at tanking. They're really
That's
good
true.
at getting in the front line and disrupting a lot, but they're also really good at absorbing CC. So to kind of go alongside that, they're getting base crowd control reduction. So they're going to start with 10, and they're going to get plus 0.5% per level. So they're going to start at 10% CCR at level 1 and end at 20% CCR at level 20.
Well, as a Guardian player, I've learned there are no problems I could not stop with my face. So I like that.
Exactly.
And,
I mean, some of the items have a very similar vibe, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? The goal is for them to hit my face, so let's just make that.
Let's just get in there.
You're getting rewarded for getting hit this time.
It's my favorite.
And
so.
it's a lot of stats. Crowd control reduction is one of those stats that may not seem very exciting at first, but it provides you a lot of passive benefits. And 10% base going to 20%, that's almost, you could say, it's a lot more of a stat than some of these other classes that are what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Yes, just the overall power of being able to avoid CC chains just in general, especially as the Guardian, whose whole point is to really take these for their more squishier characters.
Yeah.
It's so helpful to have the stat just ready to go.
And it also like leans you away from like feeling that if there's ever a time where you wanted beads, you can now maybe move towards this another 20% CCR option or 10%, build up that CCR to its cap, and then go for a completely different relic.
Yeah, and then diversify the build, continue to show expression by using other items. Stuff I love. I'm excited about it. So last class, hunters. What are the hunters getting?
So hunters, we were talking about that yin yang effect
with the
between
mages.
So mages got a little bit more early. Hunters are actually getting nothing. Flat. Well, they're getting a little bit. Okay. They're getting a little bit of a flat, but it's honestly it's increased basic attack damage over time. So they're going to be getting 0.5% per level increased damage on specifically their basic attacks. That means they're going to be scaling from 100% basic attack damage to 110%. That might not sound like a lot. That is a whole bunch, especially when you factor like crits and all the power they can be getting. But it's also just for their basic attacks, not for their abilities. And that leaves kind of the last round out, the ending speech for the class bonuses as a whole. As we talked a little bit about the nuance.
Glad that they're
one thing that's
not
important is
buffering
we definitely understand on the design team that there's people that are going to go, hey, what about the classes that kind of transcend roles, right?
Yeah.
What about the ADC mages that
Alright,
are going to
before we actually get into gods, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab a snack.
As I mentioned in the beginning, we want to kind of focus these classes with these stats in mind, but that doesn't mean we want to ignore the fact that there are kind of these subclass
that they can shift around.
Exactly. So whether it's mage assassins or whether bruiser guardians, whatever it may be, you're going to see a little bit more nuanced shifts maybe in their god balance specifically if you want to play around with that, but these class bonuses are a little bit more focused.
Yes.
Got it.
So we're going to be keeping a close eye on those characters that do transcend their classes. But just in case, we want to make sure that this is going well at the beginning, and then, if we need to adjust them further, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, always looking for y'all's feedback. If y'all like, man, mages do slap though, then let us know, and we'll keep an eye on it. So, looks like besides just the classes, there are also a couple overall stat changes happening, starting with some magical protections, it looks like.
Yes, that's right. So we were looking at, as a whole, what's going on with all the different classes, the different stats, and one of those things that we noticed is there's always been this kind of flat amounts of magical protections that all these characters have had, and it's always been the same as well for all the classes. This was a time to evaluate whether that was
monster here now.
So as you can see here, it's actually quite simple. We're going to be decreasing what was 38.4
very specific
magical protections for all of the classes, which is very unlike physical protections, by the way, to be a little bit more incentivized or not incentivized, categorized between each of the classes. So the squishy classes, mages, hunters, assassins, are going to be going all the way to 30 magical protections. Warriors a little bit more than that at 32. Guardians the most because they're tankies, leaning in on that at 35.
That's fair.
Still all lower than 38.4 from before, and to make up for that, they're going to be gaining magical protections per level from 1.2, which is what they were all at, to 1.6, so that they're scaling at least to go.
Got it.
Give me my
And that
baseball.
makes sense though, especially for some of the squishier classes, because you know, a normal person with a bow and arrow, it makes sense they get hurt a little more than a person with rocks for skin. So yeah, that just makes sense. So, but what about base attack power, which is also getting a little shifted, but it looks like just for one class.
Right. So hunters specifically, again, playing on the fact that they were a little bit too strong in the early
You
game.
can't see it right now,
we
but I'm
talked
holding
about
up my
how
middle finger to
they
you,
didn't
hunters.
really get a shift for the early game, except for like increased strength. We still
Yeah.
want to make sure that there's going to be a difference between the hunters and the mages specifically. They're going to be gaining a basic attack power decreased by 5, which honestly will probably
Pussy
matter the
baby.
most around like level 1s through 3.
Yeah,
After
that
that,
early
every
game.
item that you get is going to
Yeah,
be changing
it'll
that quite
be
a bit.
pretty close to the
Yeah,
same.
it'll
It's
vanish.
really talking about that specifically the early game difference between hunters and mages.
Yeah, to help bring the mages a little back into the spotlight.
Exactly.
So, cool. Well, that's it for the crazy out-of-pocket changes. We still have some general balance we got to talk
Oh,
about,
yes.
though. Starting with the nerfs. So, Ishtar getting the first nerf. I'm sorry.
You got this.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
that's to be
you-
expected.
So
She was played in
Ishtar
every
has
game.
been an amazing release. We
Oh, yeah.
have loved seeing her get a bunch of pro play. We love seeing her in ranked. All of those stats have been really great to see.
Yeah.
However, she is definitely showing up a little bit too much, you might say. Although she loves being in the spotlight, don't get me wrong, she's
Oh, yeah.
gonna take a step down for a
And
little bit.
hold
So
on.
first thing we're doing is we're taking
Okay.
the flat damage from strike shot down. So this is the AoE lob shot that you'll be seeing from imbue arrows. This
Yeah.
one is going down just a little bit in base damage. And then Blades of
Hey, Mush.
Retribution, that awesome ultimate with the swords. Each subsequent hit of that sword is now going to be doing a little bit less damage, but we're still staying at that upper limit of 80% reduction. So swords are not doing less than 20% damage, but each individual one that you hit in addition to the first is going to be doing less now.
Okay, got it. So, following that, Lancelot, a little bit of nerf as well.
And
Why
I
don't you
completely
take that
love-
one,
Yeah,
huh?
no, exactly. Let me go back to make sure because I completely just missed where it was. But I know what this one is in general. So Lancelot, also an amazing release.
Yeah.
Also a little bit too
Very
strong,
good.
right? Is
No
that like the
bias.
keyword, the synonyms there?
Mm,
He actually, we saw him in the SPL quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
when we were looking in regards to his stats, it's kind of like the upper ranks level. It's his
Could
bad
probably
stats, right?
go from
The
a bit
frustration
more,
he
honestly.
has, and it's a little bit too strong. He's overperforming, but not by a wide margin. So we wanted to hit him with a couple of like damage nerfs to just make sure that he falls in line.
Yeah, to bring
he's
him
not
back in a
too
little
oppressive
bit.
in his assassin, especially with this new map coming up. We have to be very careful with that too.
True.
You know, he's got his horse. He's going to be moving around that
A lot of
battlefield.
good
His
Well,
horse is
quite
amazing.
Exactly.
So good.
So, piercing thrust is going to be decreasing the physical power scaling by 5%, but that can, of course, happen twice. So, it's overall 10% if you do get 2 hits.
Yeah.
And then the ultimate is base damage. It was just hitting a little bit too hard before you had any items online. So, we're going to be decreasing the base damage across
Yep.
the board.
Got it. Next on the nerf list, Thor getting a little bit of nerf. And
Good.
Voltron.
Yeah, so Thor has been really amazing ever since he got that change to
True.
his wall. So since then, you know, he has had an increase of damage, obviously. So you
Yeah.
got to take it back a little bit from somewhere, right?
Mhm.
So that somewhere is going to be that arc damage on Anvil of Dawn. So we just want to make sure that if you are getting comboed by him, that one-shot potential that Thor has, if he does hit you with the full combo,
Yeah.
is not going to be as strong. You know, you're going to have a little bit more wiggle room there to get time to beads and Aegis before, you know, you're just smashed to
Yeah, you're
oblivion
just
under the
completely
hammer.
gone.
Yeah, it's not
So-
horrible.
All right, one more nerf to talk about in God World, and that is Vulcan getting a little bit of a nerf.
Right, so
Absolutely
Vulcan was
necessary.
changed to backfire before. It, you know,
Yeah.
it's something we stick by. It's something that we have seen him
Absolutely
great
necessary.
success.
Yeah.
And one thing that the extra movement, the extra kind of ability to maneuver on the battlefield has shown is that his damage is now a little bit too high. for
Yeah,
what he can now do.
we could have
Yeah.
nerfed
So we're gonna be
either
decreasing magical power
the
scaling by 10%, and
Mjolnir
also
or the
increasing that
wall.
cooldown just by 1 second flat. Just with a little extra maneuverability, we want to just tone him down, specifically with backfire.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so that does it for nerfs. We are now into the god buffs area, seeing which gods are getting a little stronger with this update. Starting with Achilles getting a little bit of a buff.
Yes, so Achilles has been in and out of the meta every so often. He's really good against very tanky characters that he can
Yeah.
execute, of course. But when it comes to most other matchups, he does struggle quite a bit. And a lot of that has to do with his clear, because his clear is very dependent on enemy positioning. So I wanted to give a little bit of love to Shield of Achilles, specifically in that clear department. So lane minions only,
Okay.
not jungle minions,
Lane
will be
minions
taking
only.
extra damage from this ability. Of
So
course,
it's not going to be
restricting the
pushing him
inner
towards
and
jungle.
outer
Okay,
cores
that's
of
fine.
Shield, so you'll be able to clear a little bit better with this one, so more consistent across the board. And then Radiant Glory, which is in general your sustain option for Achilles, is going down in cooldown by 1 second. And this is just going to help him have a little bit of extra sustain to exist in the laning phase.
Yeah, to continue to be. Awesome, awesome. Artemis next up. Scary Bear getting a little less. Oh no, I said the wrong person. Oh no,
No, sorry.
you caught me.
I was just like, wait a second. I immediately thought like Tuskins, like
Scary Boar. That's what I said. Shut
Yeah,
up. All right.
exactly.
What's going on?
Although a lot of this is going to be focused away from the LT this time because we know that LT is really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
But going off that one, Transgressor's Fate, kind of one that like limited. That's the traps, the first ability for Artemis.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more limiting than we would like. You know, it's been historically 3 for a long time, but we think it's time for it to be gaining an increased number count. So it's
Cool.
going to be.
I
good to
don't think
run
that's
the
gonna
populated in time
make
to
a big
4. So
difference
you
in the
kind of
slightest.
Position them a little bit more
So
for
excited.
safety if you want that to do that, or at least keep one in the bank for if you want to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Especially with those pathing changes in the jungle, you can now cover up a
Exactly.
lot more space with these.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say big new map, a lot of area you gotta cover.
And then suppress the insolent. That's going to be the third ability. Just gaining a little bit more damage because whether it's with the 9.5 changes from before or just where she is compared to the other hunters,
Yeah.
she still struggles quite a bit to compete in lane. Once she gets past that to the boxing phase, she's golden.
Yeah, good to
so
go.
just helping a little bit more with that minion damage.
Yep.
Awesome. Next up, Bacchus, a little bit of a buff.
I don't want to see Bacchus
Oh,
buffs.
this
I'm
is a
tired
big
of
Spicy
one.
Bacchus buff.
All right, so let's start with Chug. Chug is a buff, right? But now it's also a healing ability, a self-healing ability, you might say. Anytime you take a drink, you're feeling good, right? You're
Yeah,
feeling
it
a
makes
little bit
sense.
higher on the drunkometer, and now you're also feeling a little bit healthier too.
Yeah,
in that way.
absolutely.
So he's got a little bit of extra sustain in the lane now that he's able to chug his wine and receive its healing
Yeah,
benefits.
just get a little health.
So, also, in addition to that, Belly
More.
Flop is going down and cooldown.
I don't want to see a
16
Bacchus buff
seconds will
personally.
now be 14
I
seconds
mean,
already.
is it going to make
We
him
wanna make
good?
sure that people
Yes.
are knowing
Am I
that
going to
leveling
enjoy it?
your three
No.
is the way to go because that's got that extra minion damage.
Yeah.
And this kind of solidifies like, hey, I want that extra minion damage. I don't really want to, have to worry about making that decision between do I want more flops or do I want better clear. Now you can have better clear and have better flops.
And still have the flops. Nice. Like it a lot. Super cool. Next up, also, like, sustain in the lane just sounds like a catchphrase that I want to use for something.
Yeah,
Get that
absolutely.
sustain in the lane. All right. So next up, we have Bakasura getting a bit of a buff.
Bakasura, yeah, I mean, kind of like skill variants almost to like
Yeah.
an epitome. Bakasura is kind of one of those characters that you either love or you hate because it's just really hard to play.
Or are bad
So
at.
just playing around like that, one wants to make sure that you got some fun buffs.
Yeah.
So that eat minion, it has that active cooldown reduction component to it. We're just gonna make that 2 seconds flat at all ranks.
Good.
Okay.
Letting him kind of
I like it. I like it.
gain that effect a little bit more in the early game when before it was kind of more pushed towards the late game when he already has cooldown.
Increase the slow as well.
A
Okay.
little bit more early. Regurgitate also that ultimate. It's going to be increase the slow from that deployable area. It's got a pretty good size, but when people are still in it, like they just leave still a little bit too quickly. So
Yeah.
now it's going to be they're going to be a little bit slower for a little bit longer, specifically in the early stages.
Awesome, awesome. Fenrir, another assassin out here getting some buffs.
Oh yeah.
Now this one's gonna be really fun because Fenrir is one of those
Fun Fenrir.
characters where you can build him in all sorts of ways and
Attack
it kinda
speed.
works, right?
Yeah.
So we're giving him a little bit more flexibility, even beyond what he already could do by giving Seething Hell attack speed, 25% to be exact, at all ranks
Why?
Yeah.
when
Healthy.
using Seething Hell. So that's another bonus that you get when using that one. But also for Brutalize, we want to make sure that he's not just walking into destruction by jumping.
Brutalize, I understand. I don't understand the attack
So
speed.
You're going from 1.5 pros to 2 per level. It's going to just help him not die when jumping on people.
Yeah, survive the jump. So,
Exactly.
awesome, awesome. Hachimon next on the list, and more buffage.
Yeah, Hachiman is kind of a mirrored buff that we saw with Artemis on her third ability.
Yeah.
Hachiman's Heavenly Banner. Similarly, just a little bit too low damage that, a little bit not as impactful in the lane as we would like it to be, so we're going to be buffing it there. Also scaling a little bit, 55% scaling, not that high. It does sure gives you the attack speed
Yeah.
benefits, but we want to just bump that up a little bit across the board.
Awesome, awesome. The next on the list, and this is just me being dumb for like 2 seconds, is Hell buff. But when I looked at it, I said Hebo, but spelled weird. We have a Hell buff. So
I guess you could say that.
yeah. So what's
So-
happening with Hell?
For Hell, she has always had this protection reduction on her second ability's Dark Stance Hinder, but it was a very
Okay.
low amount. So
Yeah.
it would kind of.
I'm fine with that.
to
I'm
the
fine
point
with that.
where You were leveling
Awesome,
the
awesome.
last usually, even sometimes after your ultimate. And
Yeah.
so what was happening is you were getting to this top end of the protection reduction, but at that point, flat prots don't really matter as much anymore.
True.
So what we wanted to do is give her a little bit more application going into the later stages of the game, and have that also be a percent reduction as well.
I
Now, it's
personally
flat
would
and
do
50%. They're both better at different times, so
10 to
once you get the late
15.
game, You'll still be feeling like you're shredding people.
Yeah, nice consistent shreddage throughout the game. Love that. So next up, Hercules.
Hercules is an interesting one because it feels like
Or
he's
like
either
7 to
really good
15 or
really
whatever
bad.
the
He's been
proper number is.
not so strong for quite a while now.
True.
One of
Yeah.
the
Attack
things
speed?
that he kind of has needed, especially since like the 9.5 times, is just like a little bit more damage, especially against his minions. So driving strike is going to be getting a whole bunch more damage, specifically on the base side,
Why?
of course, to incentivize him building on the warrior side.
Why
the
is-
spicy one here is
why
one
are they
of the
giving
moves is
Fenrir
healing ability is
and
also
Hercules
gonna be
attack
a
speed?
buff effect. Similar like how we saw with Fenrir, he's going to be gaining 25% attack speed at all ranks, in addition to the other effects it provides. So now when you pop that, you're not kind of just being like a defensive heal bot. You now want to be aggressive with it too.
You're being a
'Cause
bonk.
what else do you want Hercules to do other than just like use his combo and then just start smacking you?
And then run at
And
you,
not
yeah.
to mention that cooldown's going down as
And
well.
the cooldown's going to be going down 2 seconds flat, quite a bit.
That's a
but,
lot.
You know,
Yeah,
That is a
Also,
lot,
you can
especially
use
on
the-
Arc.
Yeah, that is fair. I haven't missed him a lot because the bonk, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'll just adjust. Hunbot's also getting a buff.
Yeah, so Hunbat is in a very interesting place where he feels really, really great when you get to that team fight stage and are able to use Fear No Evil. But up until that point, he kind of just feels a little bit like an alt bot, and we want to give him a little bit more flexibility.
Gee,
in
I
how
wonder
he
why.
Uses his offensive tools and his defense.
It's almost like he has the best CC ult in the game.
A little bit more damage, so if you are able to land that jump on an enemy, not only are they
Hmm.
taking more damage, you're also slowing them for a little bit more as well. So you have even
Slowing more in
chance
the
to
early
follow up on
game.
them with the monkey bounce or the overhead smash, which both do deal a lot of damage. So
They dish it out.
the
That's
whole
fine.
combo altogether is feeling a lot better if you're able to land this jump.
As long as you can land the jump. So
That's the question.
it's hard. That is a skill. It's a skill. All right. So King Arthur on the buff list for next up.
Yeah, so King Arthur's got a whole bunch of stuff going up.
A whole bunch of
There's
stuff.
a couple of reasons why. So King Arthur's again, when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's
They're
quite
cooking
bad.
too
He's
much.
quite bad right now. And also
Okay,
keep in mind,
before
it's the
chat
minions
starts
that he's
spamming
using,
it about
whereas,
King
you
Arthur
know,
buffs,
Black Shield
they
is
did
just been
heavily
doing,
nerf
premier
blue
armor
stuff.
for him.
Yeah.
He kind of needs a little bit of an extra love. So damage in several different places. He's going to be getting increased damage on his hamstring specifically, on his battle stomp. And Twin Cleave, which is a little bit more of an interesting one, isn't just damage straight up, but it's going to be an increased protection reduction.
I'm seeing more positive than negative feedback on this.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
Damage across
overall-
the board helps him in lane.
Yeah, just a lot of good changes to help account for some of the item changes and other stuff that we have going on throughout the rest of the year 10. It's been a while since I've said that. I had to work one in. Kuzimbo up next. Love seeing Guardian.
He
go
got 2 more
So
abilities.
Kuzenbo is a lot of fun to play in lane.
So fun.
But the biggest problem is when you're not able to get those sumo slams.
If they don't hurry up, I'm gonna
you kind of
have
play
to
a
miss
little
out
bit from
the
range when you get to
sort
that
of
later stage the
reveal.
game.
yeah.
And I don't
being
wanna
able
do
to
that.
more consistently CC people from range is going to be the biggest goal of this change to Nene Kappa. It's basically giving it more slow when you rank it up to 30%, and then decreasing that cooldown. So again, playing around those shell spikes, getting your cooldowns back by getting hit, you've got more Kappas again.
Yeah.
More Kappas. Hooray. So continuing the Guardian trend, Kumbhakarna also getting a buff.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
this
some
one's
interesting things there. So
crazy.
we were looking at his passive, and his passive is
Don't make
it's
me
kind of
yawn,
binary. You
I
know what it does or you don't. And
can't.
the chances that Kumbhakarna lives through that passive is probably not that high.
A little slow.
And while we didn't necessarily want to make
That's
stronger, where it's like, hey, he
big.
lives 100% of the time.
Yeah.
We just wanted that effect to be.
That
more
used to be
overall.
4 minutes
3
long,
minutes
now
for
it's down
a
to
passive
2
cooldown
minutes.
Like that it's pretty high. So we're reducing that all the way to 2 minutes. Still a pretty considerable amount of time. But now
That
we don't feel
cripple
like
duration
we
is
have
actually
to
going to be
worry about it.
big
It's still gonna be
because
very
they
It
nerf
allows him to
roots.
really consider when
And
to
cripples
go
are soft
for it.
CCs.
Yeah.
Also,
So
Guardian
that'll last for like
will now be applying a cripple in addition to
1.5 seconds, I think.
So now it's a little bit more worthwhile to charge up that big swing.
Yeah, to get it
Exactly.
all the way
a little
back.
bit more rewarding.
Nice. Some mage stuff going on with Morgan
That's
Le Fay
definitely
also
huge,
getting a
though.
buff.
Yeah, Morgan Le Fay has been a little bit absent over the past few
Little
patches, and we have kind of realized that this has to do a bit with her ability to kind of finish people off. She's great
Yeah.
at poking, great at dealing
Incredible.
damage from afar and peeling herself off, but when it comes to actually killing people, she has a bit of a struggle with that. So one way that we're going to be doing that is by increasing the power of, or not the power, sorry, the scaling on Shroud of Wildfire, that initial hit. So
Yeah.
once you get that bang off, it's doing a little bit more damage, and then of course in consuming power, this is going to also be increasing that damage coming from the, I believe it's both the pull in and the swing out.
No, I think we just went with the mark damage. So the
Chaos.
mark damage is going from 5% to 8%.
Yep, so
Got it.
That doesn't seem too bad.
if you're able to get a lot of those marks off by using all of Morgan Le Fay's various abilities and various forms of sigil mastery. If you're a master of the sigils, you might
Yeah,
say.
you've mastered the sigils.
We
You're
didn't
gonna be
also want to
doing
go
more
like
damage.
too crazy with that because we understand that sometimes it feels a little bit more incidental. It just felt kind of inconsequential.
Dog is
Yeah, so you
boofing.
wanted to carry the weight, but not be like, oh, if you do everything right, you win. Hooray. So Cool. Moving forward, Nike getting a buff.
Yeah, Nike's
Yay!
definitely had a good time for a
Not
little
been
while.
Nike's day.
So
Poor
honestly,
Nike.
just a couple of easy buffs there. Valiant Leap increasing the base damage. It's
Not
pretty
enough, by
low
the way.
for what that ability does.
Yeah.
The base damage is going to increase that across all ranks. Then the ultimate. We went back and forth in its strengths before. Now
Base damage of her leap, which she's either using for the knockup or she's using it to get away.
So if you remember,
I
a
would
year
have liked
ago,
a
I know,
cooldown
very
there,
long time
but
ago for a lot of
whatever.
us, we
A year
did
ago, that
an
was 5
adjustment.
days.
I mean, you do get an
Right,
8-10%
so
cooldown, so I guess that's
And so
cool-
Oleron was
lower
also
anyway.
affected by that because despite him being a magical character, he too has critical strikes.
Yeah.
So we've decided it's finally time to give that a bit of a push back into the more powerful direction for Oleron. And so now his crits, instead of dealing 1.3x damage, they deal 1.5x damage.
Nice.
Oh.
A little more, just a little sprinkle of damage in there.
Just
So,
want to say real
Serket
quick,
also on the what's up with that?
if
Yeah, so,
Nike is
we've
built
been
the
addressing a lot, and I think,
way
talking
that
about
she
other patch
is,
notes based on how we've shifted her previously.
or
This
way
time
that
we
she's
just
supposed to
wanted
be
to
built,
go a little bit more in
she's
line
not
with some
going to
soft
get that much
buffs that
value
we're gonna continue to
out of.
address
She's
here.
not going to get any
That
value
is
out
really
of
one
half
thing
of
that
her
we're gonna keep
passing
in mind.
because of
This
percent
might
power,
not
and
be
there's
the
no
last time
hyper
we see
values
her.
anymore.
We just want to do the small things, especially in
Yeah.
relation
Serket
to
buff,
all
eh,
the other
alright.
changes that's coming up.
I don't really like playing
just did
against
want to leave
Serket.
it there
I
as well. So
never
Madness
enjoyed
Station
playing
on
as
Ambush
her,
Case is going
but
to be 1.4 seconds
it's fair.
at all ranks. Allows her to use that and be a little bit more flexible there. And Ambush cooldowns being 18 to 16. Again, a little bit more flexibility there. 18 seconds for that ability is honestly quite high.
It's a long time, yeah. So cool. So getting to doing this one's for you, Scotty, getting some buffs.
And it's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and some
it's
cool
spicy.
buffs. Yeah.
These are some awesome buffs for Scotty. So first off, let's talk about Calder because Calder's the real god here, right? No,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just,
truly.
I'm just kidding. But for Calder specifically, Scotty's passive, he is going to be regenerating more health more frequently. So
Healthy
how
dog.
it's going to work is instead of every 5 seconds you get 1 pip of HP, now it's every 4 seconds you're getting 1 pip. So a little
Okay.
bit faster if your dog needs some healing. He's coming back a little bit sooner.
See, the way that I
And
would
so
have done
you
it
get piercing
is
bolts. So this is the one,
make it
and
so
so
that
this
way
is going
it's
from 14 seconds to
it
12 seconds. It's a little bit
gains
more
effect
consistent on the
from
clearing.
cooldown.
This is also a very good self
Like
heal tool 'cause you
like
get slow on it, so
lower
being able
or
to have that come
sorry,
up more often, especially for a
nerf
character that is
the
kind of lacking in range
base
and mobility,
Yeah.
is going to be very helpful for her. But that's not the
whoops.
spiciest change
Yeah,
yet
not
because
all
we've
of
got
them.
one more.
nerf
here.
the
So
base
Witness Grasp,
cooldown
the
and
ultimate
make it
ability,
go
is
under
now getting
with
an
the
initial hit, and you might say, "Oh my god,
cooldown.
that's a lot of damage." And while that is correct, it is also coming away from the damage over time. So now
Got it.
instead of having this very long, very if Calder dies especially, it's not the most consistent damage to get off. It's now coming a little bit up front and still a very significant amount in the damage
Yeah,
over
throughout
time.
the duration.
But now, if you actually do get the Calder toss onto the dog yeet on the right person, now they will be taking some extra damage up front as well to make sure that they don't have to sit in it for the full duration of the snowstorm to actually get that damage off.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that is a
I like
spicy
that.
change.
I like
Just
that.
gotta make sure you land that dog eat, like you said. So
Yeah.
very important. So back up next as well on the buff train.
Yeah, just as needed a little bit of love, so we're going to go
Yeah.
simple here. Sickening Strike, increasing the base damage on that by 10 at all ranks. A little bit more utility effect for the ultimate,
Yeah.
lurking in the water, so we're going to actually be increasing the slow from 25% flat, which, is all right, to a little bit
Pretty
more of a
good.
sizable 30% scaling to 40%. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a lot more dangerous, actually, for the persistent effect of that and not just all about the explosion.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
I mean, great for zoning or great for utilizing in those late games, especially if you're chasing somebody down or
I
zoning.
especially like the increased protection.
We're also increasing the protections there while he's in that ultimate, so that if you are just smacking him instead while he's in that, he's a little bit more survivable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll handle it a little better. So next up, Vamana. Right.
Another spicy.
Another spicy
I
one.
like the
Big
spicy
spicy.
ones
Yeah,
today.
it's-
All right, let's talk about
Let's keep
Vamana.
going.
So Vamana is a character that has a lot of problems when it comes to dealing with certain.
That's interesting.
Curse talk. And so one way that we have decided to kind of get around this counter, of course, we're not completely removing a counter,
Of course.
is to remove the healing over time from this ability. You no longer heal from this ability, but you
Whoa.
can get some healing in a different way now. While this ability is active, you're getting 30% physical lifesteal while you're big, so this counts
That's
for
a
the
lot.
entire duration.
That's a lot.
And then additionally, we're increasing the shield from 1% of your max health per 2 seconds, or 0.2 seconds, sorry, to 2% every 0.2
Yeah.
seconds. So doubling the shield,
Okay,
basically,
that's fair.
no health regen, but again,
Trying to make it
shields
more
can still be
viable.
countered
I
by
understand what he's
fighting
doing.
for stonks. You're just not, getting perma.
I'm not
damage
happy with
next
it,
against
but I
because
understand.
You are healing for this amount of time.
Yeah.
Now you can feel a little bit more survivable against those, and you don't just insta lose to
Yeah.
one relic.
And if you want a little bit of that healing back, you have to do something active for it at least.
Yeah,
Yes,
you gotta
exactly.
work for it. You gotta be in the fight.
You
so.
still got healing potential, but it's not the same as before. It's a
Yeah.
little, it's shifted.
You
might
heal through
say.
violence now. So. All right, we have made it to the final
It's the
buff,
final one here.
The
and that's
final
Zablanke getting a buff as well.
Yeah, this one honestly is pretty spicy.
Ooh.
While
It
the
is.
ultimate effect is active, no, it's not just that blind effect. It's not just the increased range. Jablanca as well, and that will be now gaining a attack speed while the effect is active.
This is
So
a lot of
That's-
attack.
20%
yeah.
scaling all the way to 60%.
I thought it
Yeah,
already
it's
had like
It's
20% attack
gonna
speed on
be
it.
faster.
Putting points in this ability has never seemed so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and people were worried that the blind effect just wasn't strong enough, which honestly is pretty strong. Now you have to
Yeah.
be terrified of when he's in it too.
Yeah, because he is flinging those bolas.
Mhm.
So, shoot, I'm still the person that's like ult, stop, ult. So I just can't
That
forget the
muscle
old
memory
days.
kind of
yeah, it's
effect, yeah.
trained. So, whew, all right, deep breath. That was a lot
We
of stuff
did
we
it.
just talked
Oh,
about.
geez.
We did it. We
Yeah.
made it. I'm super
All
excited.
right, show me the
about
big boy.
it. There's
Show
still
me
more
big
to
boy.
come, obviously, but that was
There's
a
a lot
lot
more
of
to come.
balance. Yeah, there's a lot of great things to come, but that was a lot of balance, a lot of things.
Show me the
changing. If
boy.
you want all those numbers, you want to recap, you missed anything or showed up late, check out the patch notes. Everything's gonna be there, same as what we've just gone through, but with a lot more numbers. If you
Give
feel like reading
me
those and
Fire
doing some
Daddy.
math.
Give it
But,
to me.
Next up, we do have community news, but before we get into that, how about a fun little video for y'all? Check it out.
Fellow traveler, stay for a spell, for there are tales to be told. Stories of time,
I forgot that this was.
stories of seasons. These are the stories that bind us all. Forged in the fire of an eternal conflict, Surtur will erupt to raise the lands of gods and men. Through the flames, rebirth gives way to change, and the rise of monsters.
I think that's either the Manticore or the
sunlight
Nemean Lion.
pierces the ashen horizon, nurturing the barren lands and welcoming new life. And for the
I was
souls
thinking
that
Aztec.
were lost, they will be carried and find their way to what awaits us all.
Karen,
What
I think.
awaits us all? A
This is Mama
celebration of
Brigitte,
our deeds
or
and the
Brigitte.
journey we all share. Our stories connected by the ebb and flow of time, like the seasons. We are renewed. When we meet again, what tales will await us all?
A super cool trailer full of teaser mystery. So hope y'all guys enjoyed that. That'll be a little bit of a teaser that y'all can pick apart and figure out what might be coming in year 10, which we are kicking off next week, which is crazy. It blows my mind. Smite has been around for 10 years, and I'm gonna repeat that like 1,000 times because it blows me away. It's been such a long journey. But we have more to go here today. We've been through so much already, but we're gonna kick off community news and share with y'all. Joined with me now, I don't even know how to talk anymore. We have Lermy, who was hanging out earlier, and another friend who was hanging out earlier, Titan Ajax, back.
I'm
and
back.
ready to
Give
rumble. So
me
let's get into some community news,
The
though.
boy.
So I'm gonna start off with the year 10 pass. You know, each year we've had season passes in the past, but now we have the year 10 pass. Name change to honor the new mode that we're doing things, but also full of content, just like all the other years. All kinds of incredible things you can get with it that I'm gonna go through right now, starting with. Obviously, you get all the cool skins that come with the new gods that come out. And if you don't own that god, you get the god too. And the voice pack. So you're going to get all of that for every single new god that releases in year 10 for Smite. Already cool. You're also going to get an additional tier 1 skin with that, the emotes, wave and clap, and a bunch of other stuff, including 3 exclusive cosmetics to this year 10 pass that you can only get through the year 10 pass. And those are the Calamity Cat Soul skin, which I think we have the art for here. Let's do it. Oh, look at that.
Look at her.
It says
Wow.
year 10. Look at the kitty.
Aw. I love the kitty.
I love it so much. But yes, this is
Pretty cute.
exclusive to the year 10 pass, so super duper worth it. You'll also get the Calamity Cat loading screen and the Miraculous title, which is a miraculous title. It's also the miraculous
I wouldn't even call her
title.
thick. I think she's just good looking.
So all of that plus
Rough.
3 pluses if you're keeping track.
Why is everyone so
You'll
horny
get
on the internet?
bonus
God
of
damn it.
1,000 gems, and as I
That's a
mentioned
big one.
earlier, what?
That's a big one.
That's a lot of them. Yeah, that's a big number of gems. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, if you don't own the Ultimate God Pack, you'll get every god that comes out with the new year. So all the year 10 gods you will also have access to as they release. So definitely make sure to pick that up. It is super awesome. I mean, the skin and the 1,000 gems alone, but the content for every single new god that comes out this year. And as you might have just seen with that teaser video we showed, a lot of cool stuff on the way.
yeah.
So get excited for that. To continue in the community news, we have something else really cool and exciting that I'm so pumped to show you, and we're calling it Smite's Temple of You. Smite has been around for a long time, and we have some members in the community who have been playing for just as long. And to celebrate that, we have a cool little video project that we've thrown together to help
Dog is
celebrate those
pooping again.
stats.
God
So
dang it.
what you're about to see is a demo version. These numbers aren't real, so you'll see Lermy's name here. Not real numbers, but it's what it will look like when y'all do it. And let's just let y'all see the video first.
Shut up. Shut up, you best.
Gods and goddesses, welcome to the Temple of You, the monument to glorify your divine exploits. Allow us to celebrate your greatest accomplishments in the first decade of Smite.
Yeah, the resolution is a bit off on
A
me.
testament to your triumphs, trials, and tenacity. You have many loyal supporters. Shall we bless your most devoted acolyte with your recognition now? Followers from all walks of life. And some showered with riches beyond compare. You're not the only god of your caliber. Here are the other deities in your pantheon. The
I like
halls
this.
of history will echo with tales of your conquests.
Obviously, it needs to
Gilgamesh to your
look a
Ishtar,
little bit better, but
battle for the ages. The songs of your conquest will ring throughout history, or until the season ends. You certainly love to rain terror upon your enemies.
party
Who
carrying.
says kind-hearted gods don't show force when needed? Ah, it appears you are a force of good. The most powerful gods can also be the most benevolent. You are deserving of our deepest gratitude. You watch from the heavens as champions fight for your favor, and to the victors go.
Yeah, is no one gonna talk about the fact that there was like a real life video there?
Are you
Of like
entertained?
the fact that
Your
it's like
accomplishments
looking
shall
at you.
stay legendary for eternity, but your lore is just beginning. May your conquests continue in the first season of Smite, Year 10, the season of monsters.
You rock.
Cancel that.
And that is the Smite Temple of You. That's kind of crazy. It's the big overview of like your history of Smite with all those cool numbers. Yeah, again,
Love it.
those numbers those were just made up because we just wanted that for the demo purpose. Figured we'll share all the stats on Twitter and everybody will be sharing their stuff anyway. But so to be a part of that, pre-registration kind of happened during SWC, so January 13th. That's a couple days ago now. But if you were able to pre-register, then you'll be getting an email at some point between the 15th and the 23rd that details some of this stuff. So keep your eye out for that. If you missed pre-registration, don't sweat it. January.
I do like this. This is a cute idea, honestly.
January 24th.
But
Just
give
go
me
and participate
the
in it.
boy.
You just keep an eye out. We'll be sharing ways that you can
I
do
got
this.
40
But
minutes
you can
left.
go
Give me the boy.
participate, get your video, and share it with people and see your history in Smite, the chunk of Smite that you've really taken a hold of. So I think it's really cool, and I'm excited to share mine and then look at my coworkers and be like, man, I gotta play more in 2023. So yeah. Anyway, so that's cool. And then one more shout out that I want to give is for the Year 10 celebration event going on right now. It's been going on for a while, so we're actually getting near the end of it. So if you haven't hopped on this, make sure you do that. It's so easy. Play 10 games. Play 10 games. Just hop in. 10 games of Smite, and you
Yeah, I
earn
already did
a
that.
tier 4 skin chest. You can even get like Toonie Terracilla out of that. So like
Yeah.
good skins
Some
are in
hot
that
ones in there.
chest.
That's
Yeah,
really
so
cool.
that's a really good chest. A free battle pass, or if you own it already, 10 levels for the battle pass. 10 free pick your own god chests. So if you don't own the god pass, choose 10 gods to try out,
Yeah.
And then 10 account and match boosters. So that's essentially 10 days worth of boosters for your account.
That's
So
awesome.
and all
Nice
of
and
that
easy to get.
is
Don't
just
even
for
have to
playing
win
the
them.
game.
Just have to
Hop
play
in,
the
play some
games.
matches, don't worry about it. So that's that wraps it for basic community news. We got some merch news now. Nothing crazy. Just make sure to check out the Skull Store. We got all kinds of incredible merch there, especially coming out of SWC and all the hype. You know, support your favorite SPL player. Look at some of that merch that we have there, and pick something up to buff the wardrobe. You know, I'm all about that Smite wear. So always make sure to grab that. As SPL news go, now this is really cool. This is something to get hyped for. We just came out of SWC, which was huge. And now we're moving into something else pretty cool. We have the Smite Salt Year 10 Celebration Tournament. So
Salt?
this is a tournament that anybody is welcome to join in. This will be taking place January 28th or 27th through 28th. I started with the
Smite Amateur League Tournament. Okay, Salt. Got it. Okay.
Sign-ups are open, and there's a 200,000 gem prize pool. So hop in, play your heart out, and earn yourself a couple gems along the way if you can rough it out. So again, happening.
If I'm
look out for more information for this soon. But
off work, I'm actually going to check this right now. If I'm off work, I'm actually playing this tournament.
Again, open to anybody. So
It's gonna be on the new map too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
the brand new map that we went over at the beginning. And if you missed, you can go check it back, rewind later. Check out the VOD; it'll be fun. So
That was, what were the days for that?
We're moving into the quality of life, and I'm gonna let these wonderful
If
people.
that was 24th, 25th, I can do that.
But I hear we're kind of having a fun little
Hold on.
update in quality of life. What's going on?
Oh yeah, this is a big one.
It's a big one.
We're going to be increasing the Smite player level cap. A long time ago, we increased it from 30 to 160. Now you're going to be able to level all the way up to 2,000.
That's up
Yeah,
there.
big numbers.
That is huge.
That's so big.
This is gonna only be cosmetic. It's not necessarily gonna affect anything in the game. It's just to show off how much you've played Smite.
How much time I've wasted into this game. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Else, but the other good thing to know is that it only applies to players who've already gotten over.
I'm trying to
level
find
160.
in the
You're not
patch
gonna be
notes
climbing
where
the
it
curve
talks
that's gonna
about.
change the path from 30 to 160. You're still on that trek. Keep on fighting the good fight.
Yeah,
And
still
then
walking
after
along.
160, you're gonna notice that you can start get levels a little bit more rapidly, working all the way up to level 2,000. But let me say, it is quite a climb.
So hard.
I was about to say, because what if you're already level 160 and you've been playing for a while?
It will automatically adjust you. So any experience you've been earning over 160 has been saved and stored in our databases and will automatically adjust. We already tested it with Lermy. And what level did you
Oh, dang it.
I'm
It's the
at
27th,
219,
28th.
So not even close to
And
that.
she
I feel
plays
like I
a
play
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had tested, we ran
Damn.
some data queries to make sure.
Alright,
that
I guess I'm not
everyone
playing on that
was
tournament.
playing the most in the history of
Yeah,
Smite
like-
and trying to avoid them from hitting cap on day one. I think somebody out there effectively played enough games to level from 1 to 160 23 times.
That's
so many games. Good on you.
And they're going to end up being level 782 or something like that. There's still a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, to
We
keep
wanted
going.
when we did it this time, we wanted to make sure that we weren't hitting cap again for a while.
Yeah, we're gonna be sitting on this for a little
So,
bit.
gonna be really excited to see how where the pros and the streamers end up at what level. It'll just be a really fun way to show, kind of like the Temple of You. This will be.
That would have been
another
so funny if they just
That'll be really
flipped
cool.
it and
23
did the no.
times. If you're watching this and still playing Smite right now, keep it
Yeah,
up.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
That you are what I would consider a pillar of the community.
Absolutely.
So, cool. Well, that does it for community news as a whole. But we've talked about a lot of cool things, and now we are on to a spot of the show that I always love so much. We're on to cosmetics. We're on to the skins, the new stuff.
Okay, cosmetics are nice, but I want big boy.
Kicking off with year 10, and that is the Boss Monster Battle Pass. Part of the Season of Monsters. It makes sense.
Yeah,
So the
perfect theming.
Exactly. The first skin in that line is Infernal Winds Kukulkan.
Oh,
Okay.
What a banger to start off
I was
with.
about to
That's
say,
an interesting
that's
looking
different.
Kukulkan.
I just love how we get to have these reactions to this amazing art on every show. The team just doing awesome work. Kukulkan, like you've never quite seen him before, huh?
Yeah, no, not
That guy
exactly.
does look like the final boss in a video game.
That's
I gotta
what I
say.
was thinking.
He does, very much so. So we don't have a
I don't
tournament for
hate
this
it.
one, unfortunately. So you'll have to wait a little longer, and by that I mean PTS right around the corner. But to see it in game. But we do have a voice line, so let's hear that.
The scent of despair and fear is thick in this realm. It is time for the apocalypse to begin.
I think he needs to clear his throat just a little bit.
World and such.
I was about to
Just give a little.
double up on that. Sheesh. Yeah.
Apocalypse, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that
all
what he
right,
said?
let's get going.
In such a convincing tone. All right, so that'll be the first skin you're going to see. The second skin, Web of Fate Arachne, also in the Boss Monster Battle Pass. Eyes, lots of eyes.
Yeah, yeah, we wanted something a little bit elegant and otherworldly to kind of balance out all the various archetypes of boss monsters that
Yeah.
it can be inspirations for many different games. So Arachne was a great choice, and this is a really
I
cool
don't hate
art style
this.
applied to her.
Oh my god, look
This
at
one has
those
to turn
eyes
around.
all over the place, like you were saying earlier, but they
The
really
legs definitely have less
Like the
fur
color palette is
than
beautiful.
the card
It
art,
is, and
which I
I'm
like.
always a
I
fan of
don't
like
like
the
it with
half
too much
mouse, the
fur.
other half giant
Actually, it kind of looks
thing.
bird
Like
like.
that's peak monsterage to me. So let's hear the
It
voice
looks
line
like
on this one.
this Arachne.
Gaze upon perfection.
No, no, bad.
That was
That has RPG villainous
yeah,
for sure.
It really
You
does.
can feel that. Even the extra is there and is extra.
Yeah.
And when she said gaze, she has what, like
I don't like that voice back at all.
True. No
Yes.
sneaking up on that boss. So the next.
I was gonna say it looks like
Conqueror Guan Yu.
looks like the mix between
Oh,
Arachne and
nice.
the monster,
Nice. Well, people.
the final boss from Legend of Zelda: Phantom
It's great.
Hourglass,
I
like
will mention that this
Belveth
one
or
is
something.
the revisited skin. So this one was in a previous battle pass, as our battle passes are. You know, 3 brand new ones and one that's a reinterpretation. This is from the boss. What did we call the first one? It was
Oh,
boss
Final
something.
boss.
Final boss.
Final boss.
We
There
did the
it
final
is.
boss battle pass. Now we have the boss monster. So the other 3 are not so humanoid.
Yeah.
Guan Yu with his horse and steed still just barely makes the cut.
True.
Yeah, but this is one heck of a recolor, and it's also in the
It
free
is.
track too. So you're getting this just by playing the game. You don't have to buy
Exactly.
anything.
Just for hanging out and
Ooh.
playing. So
Free,
awesome.
you
The
say?
last skin that we're gonna see here in the battle pass is Corrupted Commander Ternunos. Okay, that's the purple though.
That is.
That is in
very
fact
nice
purple.
like you said.
And like scary goat thing over there on the right. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got to turn
He
people to
turned people into
something, right?
goats.
Into scary goats, like
Yeah,
looks
they're,
like.
they're scary this time.
Yeah, this is really cool. I love all the metal. That
Ooh.
Definitely a lot less purple.
Nature. Wow, those like textures.
I don't
are
hate
really
it.
Gorgeous. Look at all that engraving on his armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is some awesome drops that you're gonna get from slaying this
True.
guy.
Right? All these boss monsters probably have crazy loot.
All right, let's hear the voice line for this one.
They will all bow down to me.
Fair enough. Short, sweet, and to the point. A lot of bowing to be done. So again, those are all part of the brand new battle pass, the Boss Monster battle pass, as long as a full track of cosmetics and other things. And that'll be releasing next week with the update. Always crazy to say that every update show that's right around the corner.
Yep.
So next up, now this one is near and dear to a lot of Smite fans' hearts. Continuing the theme of kind of the lore and history of Smite, we have a chest coming out with the 10.1 update named the Denton chest.
Yes.
With Denton Bacchus.
He returns.
He's
He
finally
returns.
here.
Look
You
at
Oh.
him.
can finally play as Denton. For those of you who are just joining us in the newer years of Smite, Denton was a Cyclops character that was never a playable character, but was used in a lot of fun end of match animations and marketing promotions and other stuff like that. He was kind of like an unofficial mascot, kind of goofy and silly little Cyclops guy.
Yeah.
There was a lot of love for him in the old days, but he got slowly phased out. And with 10.1, there was like, we were wanting to look for these types of characters and really, shine a light on them, bring them back, do them justice, all new art, and now you can finally play Denton as a god on Bacchus as a skin. It's just it's so fun. I can't wait to see this one out there.
Yeah, so we don't have a turnaround, unfortunately, so I have to pull the rug out
Aw.
from under you there. You'll see him in PTS and live in game, but we do have a voice line we can
Oh,
share.
you
Let's hear
got it.
Denton talk.
What is he, a
He's
Pokemon?
very well spoken.
If that
Very
isn't
well
peak
spoken.
Denton, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So again, if any of y'all who have played more than 10 gods, you had to have come across a end of match screen that had Denton in it. So a piece of Smite history coming into the game. Absolutely love to see it. So we're going to do a quick jump ahead into the future here. February 7th, there'll be a bonus chest coming out, and that will be the Ice Wraith chest with Ice Wraith Geb.
Ooh, I'm excited to see this one. Whoa.
Oh, that's horrible.
Jibbathy.
He's scary. Geb's usually a
Yeah.
nice guy, but now he's an ice guy.
I know, right?
Boo.
Thank you for
With
that.
Geb, I did
Boo, Beppa.
expect something, sometimes a little bit calmer, but this is awesome.
Yeah, this is definitely steering away from that.
I mean, I'm
Honestly,
no better.
like
I
Ymir
do
has a lot
puns
of
all the
these
time.
vibe skins where he's usually already aggressive. Here's a more aggressive take on that. But you're right. This is kind of a 360, a 180 for Gab.
Oh, 360. Oh,
Oh.
yeah. And the his
Wow.
elemental form I think works really well for ice like this.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, ice elementals. You see a lot of cool creatures like this across the game and fantasy space, and this is just really
I
unique
like it.
way to work this into Gab.
Yeah, I love
More,
the
looks
ice
more
ice
crystalline than
creatures. They've
actual
got
ice,
such nice gradation going on. It really makes
but
it
I
feel
do
more
like it.
complete. Like this is just an ice creature that you come across.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the floating skull, I don't know. That really does it for me.
It's creepy, but it's cool.
It is. Let's hear the voice line for this one.
Humans kill must kill.
So definitely not calm.
I think he needs
Just
like a
just
lozenge
go
or
for
something.
a rampage, I suppose.
More bestial take we went on this one with
Yeah,
him. I think
I'd
makes
say.
a lot of sense. You know, if he was all regal and calm, I think that'd be a little unfair.
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of really cool things. Again, that'll come out February 7th. But
Give
what's
me
coming
the
up
boy.
next? You might have seen it
Give
if you were
me the
watching
boy.
during SWC, and a lot
Give
of you
me
were.
the
Lots
boy.
to see.
Give
But
me the boy.
up next we have an incredible crossover that so many people at the company have been hyped about since its ideation, since it's the original form. But before we get into it, how about we share a trailer with y'all
I swear to God,
check
if
it
you
out?
guys string me along until 6 o'clock,
Across the multiverse, we are known. Some call us saviors, others a scourge. Across all worlds, we share a single name.
Planeswalkers.
that single name is Smite, obviously, judging by the big title here.
I mean, incredible. Like, we've been waiting for that for so long to finally be able to reveal and talk about Magic the Gathering in
So
Smite.
excited.
It's
It's huge.
huge. It's incredibly huge. So, like, listen, I played Magic a lot. If you hand me a deck, I can work my way through it. I can have fun with it. But I think we have two experts over here, a lot more than I am anyway. So how excited are y'all about it, especially through this process?
I played a little bit of Magic when I was younger, but I never really got
Nice.
heavily into it.
Yeah,
Off and
nice.
on. It's a very popular game. I think in the game dev crowd,
Yeah.
game developers really appreciate Magic's deep lore, their way they manage their rule sets and their pacing and their releases. Really, they're like one of the first live release games, right? Constantly releasing new content,
Yeah.
new sets, new theming. They've been doing a lot of amazing stuff for a long time, and it's just so awesome to get to work with this team and explore this other game world in the world of Smite.
Yeah, especially for a
Yeah.
game so rich in lore, it's incredible. And yeah, Lermy, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as a more recent convert to Magic the Gathering, it's just so incredible to learn about, like AJ was talking about, all this deep lore that comes behind it, and as just employees of High Res, we have a little group going every so
Oh, yeah.
often. We get together and play Magic on the weekends sometimes. It's just such a fun game to play, and I'm so excited for all of you guys to get to experience what that's like too. Just get a taste of it, of course.
For sure, yeah. And I mean, much as to what was said, like, as I was getting started at this company a couple years ago, I don't even have like nice modern decks anymore. But I had coworkers who was like, "Hey, that doesn't matter. Come out, like we'll hang out. I got a deck you can borrow." That was one of the first times I actually hung out with my coworkers outside of work. Was
Yeah.
playing Magic, and I mean, I've played with you, AJ. I've played with
Yes.
other people, so it really is such an amazing IP and such an honor for us to be able to do this. So it's going to be an event like crossover events of the past, but this one has something we have never done before as well. This event
Oh.
spans 2 updates. We will be releasing a total of 10 skins. This hand isn't free.
And it
but-
was still hard to narrow them down. They got so
Oh,
many cool
yeah.
characters.
There's so much to choose from. Like,
Okay.
as always, we have a bunch of people from the company that just sat there, and it was a war. It was an unceasing.
It was a
war.
process.
Yeah, of like
it really was.
we want this, and like there was no negativity about it. It just really was who can we best represent, who's gonna come in and
So
feel
many
and
cool
adapt.
characters.
Yeah. So, but 10 characters, which is a lot across 2 updates. So that'll be this update now. You'll get the first 5, the second 5 coming in the next update, which I'll talk about when we get there. Enough for today already. But and this will be an event. So as you get through it, there will be, there will be planeswalker and creature skins, kind of, a little bit of both. And there will also be cosmetics that you can get, and you can, you can roll chests for these, you can direct purchase these, but like a lot of other events, you work your way through it and you earn more prizes the more things that you own of the event. There will also be a set of free quests, free planeswalker quests throughout the event as well. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
chain through these and work through them, as the event progresses. Some now, some in the next patch, but those will be free to anybody. So make sure that you're hopping in, checking out those quests, and earning things for yourself because we like being able to share, and that's kind of at the heart of Magic is bringing people together and doing stuff. So,
Is it though?
but I
Isn't
I
it
could talk
about
about this
bullying
all
the
day, but where
opposition?
would I be without pushing us towards actually looking at these incredible skins? Starting off with this one, I have chills if you know who I am in the Smite community. Karn Atlas.
Ah, look at him.
Look at him.
Wow. This translates so well to Atlas
It
too.
really does, and it looks so good.
It does look good.
One of the earliest Magic characters that we're working with. He's been around in the Magic universe since the early sets.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, and still a focal point. He was just recently a big piece of the Dominaria United set. He had a big role in the story and a very
Yeah, what that happened?
card
Hold on.
Yeah.
that had some very unique mechanics. He's known for
There we go.
his manipulation of artifacts, which are a very
And
important part of Magic.
settings,
For
general
anyone who's Magic,
settings.
like, of course we know this, but
Just gonna
I
throw
want to make
auto
sure we
black
get
off for a little
out
bit.
there for those who aren't
For the
familiar with
Smite
that.
fans,
But
yeah.
yeah, the
Oh.
Magic universe known for the 5 colors of mana that correspond to different types of magic, and also artifact.
There we go.
Which this is where
I
Karn
mean,
comes
honestly,
in.
it doesn't
One
look
of the
that
skins
bad.
represented the artifact nature
Yeah.
of Magic, and we just felt like he fit Atlas really well with that body type, the big, strong iron golem, and then astrolabes are actually, there's multiple Magic cards that depict astrolabes that can be very powerful artifacts. So the idea of Karn picking up Atlas's astrolabe and using it as a weapon, Karn has been known to use some very interesting artifacts to help defend his planes that he's been on and defeat evil, and we just worked all that in together to create our Karn Atlas.
Which again, just absolutely breathtaking, especially as an Atlas player. Like, I don't have all of the Magic the Gathering lore. I know a bit. Like, I used to have, it was really bad, but I had an all artifact, no color artifact deck I used to run. It was all mirror based. They were all old cards, but
oh,
like
the mirrors.
Yeah, right.
Those are cool.
Wow.
Those are cool little guys.
But yeah, like like just seeing this, it fits so well and is just an incredible skin to look at. Even if I knew nothing about Magic, coming in and looking at this, it is a breathtaking skin. So let's hear the voice line for it real quick.
I could not save my own world, but I will save this one.
Big protector vibes.
He very much is. And it's just such an interesting process working through these Magic.
Sorry, I just need to put a sweatshirt on because it's cold.
Cards, especially Karn, who's been around for a long time. We working off the modern visuals of him as much as possible, and translating that to 3D is also a very unique take because most of Magic's properties all take place within a 2D artistic space, either printed on the cards or in the games like Magic Arena. So we're just had so much fun exploring that and interpreting that and working that into a 3D action-focused gameplay.
Well, and I think with all of the work that we did, on the art team, especially all of our teams to make these come to life, it would be a shame not to see it in game. So let's take Karn in game and see what the model looks like in action.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and of the new Conquest map too.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's looking nice.
That is such an awesome. I mean, everything down to just the way that I guess you wouldn't call it armor if he's
It's like his body.
Yeah, like his body. Just the way that his body has all of those artistic details on it is incredible.
Yeah,
and that astrolabe.
There's every single one of the Magic skins is loaded with references to the game. There are visual effects that are referencing specific cards. There are voice lines referencing specific cards.
Yeah.
A lot of different stuff for Magic fans to see. One of the main inspirations for the astrolabe was the card Chalice of the Void.
Yeah.
Atlas being a cosmic character and having these kind of gravitational pull type of effects. that made a lot of sense with
I
the
like
fact
the
that you have
effects.
this black and white void style, which is
Yeah.
also something we have in Smite. So we got a really great connection there between Magic Universe and Smite Universe, and it fits Karn super well to have this powerful
I like
artifact
the
in
sound
cards.
effects too. It's actually really
Yeah,
good.
I love the colors for this. It's kind of like there's a lot of that, like you said, black and white, but it almost there's like some silvers mixed into there. I don't know, it's just entrancing to look at.
You can also see little bits of liquid metal,
Yeah.
which is also a feature of Karn. If you're a more hardcore player like myself, you're very familiar with the main way Karn is played in the game, where he is able to tutor up artifact cards from his sideboard, one of which is one that turns everything into artifacts, and therefore becomes unusable because Karn can make artifacts be. So he can pretty much negate any card in the game by using his passive ability, which makes artifacts not be able to be activated and turning things into artifacts using the liquid metal. So
Oh, does that really slow in an AoE?
also, his ultimate references as another specific part in Karn's storyline. So you get kind of a rainbow here. You get all 5 colors of magic,
Yeah.
kind of referencing one of the older storylines. Where
They're gonna
Karn
have
was
to fix
this
that because that doesn't have
light
like
team
timer indicator on it like
worked
normal
together to
Atlas does.
create this thing known as the legacy weapon, which essentially was a 5-color powerful magic beam that destroyed any permanent in the Magic universe. It also has a card reference to it, so when we have this giant laser beam on this character, we're like, oh, this fits perfectly. This was an actual artifact from Smite's old, or one of Magic's older storylines, and it fit the skin super well.
And you love when there are that many, and I guess it makes sense with how huge and diverse Magic is. It makes sense that there are all of these opportunities, but that's one thing that, as somebody who has a very basic knowledge of the game, I've respected about watching this process unfold with some of who I would describe as hyper fans within our company, because I wouldn't be able to make that connection. I don't have the history
Doggo
or
booping
the
again.
knowledge. So being able to see that stuff come to life and hear you give the explanation for it, it's so cool that we have people who are willing to take from such a rich and diverse lore and pull these things out and make the skins so much more than just a surface level thing, I guess.
Absolutely. We wanted every Magic player to be able to see all this detail and all this depth that went into it, and a lot of that was part of the process, trying to figure out which characters in Smite are going to match up with which characters in Magic. It was so hard. It really was so hard to pick because there were so
I,
many cool ones.
as much as I do want to continue streaming,
Newer Magic
I
characters,
do
older Magic
have
characters, all
previous
the different colors
plans,
of mana, as
so
well as artifacts, a little bit of
unfortunately, I
skill
am going to have to
classes.
call it here.
Really trying to mix up
Possibly later on tonight, or maybe tomorrow, I will do a showcase of the rest of the notes, as well as the other skins. But I will definitely be coming back tomorrow night at the latest for the Surtur review. So, thank you all so much for coming out tonight. I'm sorry for having cut this short, but I do have to go. So, I will be back later, and or not later, but I will be back at some point. Okay, thank you. Bye.